Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, send home the invader. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Give them all praises, give them all praises. Where the fuck am I going? Who the hell could I be? All this time I've been lost. Vessel trapped in the sea. Chains holding my legs. I just wanna be free. Fist pick in my throat. Hell yeah, and they know it. Heritage keep going. You can see it in my phenotypes and that damn Indian showing. This knowledge keeping me steady. 45 on my hip and my armor man stay ready. I hit the streets in my Chevy. Blunt burning, smell smoke in heaven. Man, here you go, I got plenty. Prayers up for what's in it. In the land I lost many. Cause every nigga ain't friendly. And every man ain't milling. No D-bows but Stanley. No heroes for my family. Why the pigs killing us daily? Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, send home the invader. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Give them all praises, give them all praises. Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, send home the invader. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Give them all praises, give them all praises. Where the fuck do you come from? Kidnapping our babies. 11 million abortions. Whole country is scorched. Natives stealing my portion. Bitch, give me my land back. We ain't signed no contracts. Why you wasting all of our trust funds? We don't know who your dad is, but we know who your kinfolk. Take the food off of my plate. Eat that shit with my folk. You invader. You motherfucking invader. Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, send home the invader. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Give them all praises, give them all praises. Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, send home the invader. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Give them all praises, give them all praises. Hey ya, 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 hey ya. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Give them all praises, give them all praises. Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, send home the invader. Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, send home the invader. Invader, this is for the invader. Invader, send home the invader. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Give them all praises. Give them all praises. Hey ya, 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 hey ya.
Let the sunshine in. The Duke of Tears and Empress about to begin. Giving love to all the ancestors that's tuning in. Here comes the Duke of Tears with some more offering.
Going out till the almond, Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, Muskogee. You know me, the homie is OG. Coming to restore the crown of the almond, Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, Muskogee. You know me, the homie is OG. Coming to restore the crown of the old.
Swooping through like an eagle, more like a stinging bee. Ancestors is left, right, in front me. I'm all that vid dynasty live inside me. Moon goddess is worth, chip worth, native made for greatness. And wild, with natural style, rain dancer under the moon, knock through the pearly gates. Escape from Spain to Panama, we still ahead of y'all. Never racing, just slow pacing to the top of the dome. We A little petite, but never retreat. 10K is doggone tall, y'all. Chopper riding, we awake, Verity streaming, ET beaming, blunt chop, lightsaber walker, wolf talker, never stop.
To the Olmec, Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, and Skokie. You know me, the homie is OG, coming to restore the crown of the Olmec, Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, and Skokie. You know me, the homie is OG, coming to restore the crown of the tomahawk chop, an entire city block. Big Buffalo people coming back to wreck shop. Hip hop, I'm out and pop, can't stop the rebirth for raw. Indigenous rock with the native chant. To a Christ war dance, trance at a glance. Anyone who glance at the Shechem war dance, Chief Seven Feather Owl, the Moorish Colin Powell, make all these 14th Amendment rappers throw in the towel. Square, compass, and trowel. These masons taking oaths, disrespecting ancestors, selling their souls to ghosts. I raise my glass, make a toast to Aboriginal hosts, traveling through the cosmos. That's most, meaning that's on top. My wounded knee bandaged up. Black Hawk, what's up? Geronimo Skull, we taking it back from the tomb of the bones when we coming in the rooms and they zoom like Olmec, Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, and Skokie. You know me, the homie is OG, coming to restore the crown of the Olmec, Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, and Skokie. You know me, the homie is OG, coming to restore the crown of the
Open
OG.
up the heavens, let the sunshine in. That you could hear the empress about to begin. Giving love to all the ancestors that's tuning in. Here comes the duets with some more offering.
All right, let's get into it, man. Peace, 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 peace. You already know who it is. Your brother Hanu Kiel, aka A1, aka Tantrums 1. Peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses, peace to the Aborigines, Indians, Moors, African Americans, FBAs, North, South, Central, and the conjoining island. Once again, it's your brother back. Doing a quick bill real quick that I was going to do last week. Concerning one of these FBA trolls, right? Just wanted to kind of tap in. When I kind of go in on this, it's not pertaining to all FBAs, right? It's pertaining to certain ones, right? When you try to educate them, because you got a lot of FBAs that, they claim to be American Aborigine, American Indian, right? But they don't know the full landscape of it because they learn it from Tariq Nasheed. And Tariq Nasheed is learning from us. We're his teachers. So the American Indians, American Aborigines, the Atanchans, we're teaching him, and he's picking up on information as he go and trying to be like in the forefront of this information. Like he know everything, but he's learning it from us as he go along. But definitely, man, peace to anybody who is awakening, right? Who woke up on this American Aborigine, American Indian paradigm, right? Shout out to everybody who is doing their genealogy and who are learning, right? Real quick before I go on, let me see something. Hey, yo, press 1 for me if you guys can hear me, because let me see. All right, there you go. Somebody press 1 for me. All right, so we good. All right, share the build out if you can. I shared it out, but I've been shadow banned for a minute. I'm still stuck on 26,000 subscribers. For the last 3 years, I've been stuck on 26,000 subscribers. So I know I'm shadow banned, but it is what it is. Subscribers don't matter. What matters is, the people that we reaching with this information, and the ones that are able to resonate and connect with their families. And like I said, if they taking it a step further by at least trying to get some type of status as an American Aborigine or American Indian, then that would definitely benefit you in your journey going forward, right? Let me see. I had another. Oh yeah, shout out to Top Cat, man. He got an event. I think it's on the 22nd of November. So if anybody that's in the Houston area, I believe it's in Houston. Let me see something real quick because I just seen it. Definitely want to support the brother. Let me see. Damn, where you go? I just seen it. Oh, matter of fact, oh, here we go. Yeah, it's on Saturday, November 22nd, man. It's Foundational American Indigenous Day, man. And it's gonna be in Houston, I believe. Yeah, it's gonna be in Houston, Texas. And I think it started at 12 p.m. and it's gonna be probably rocking out to 7 p.m. Knowing him, he said 7 p.m., but I know that it's gonna be some after hour events. So definitely go to his community page for those who are interested in going. I'm quite sure it's gonna be lit. So definitely support the brother. And like I said, I support all the brothers and sisters in the community, man. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to him. Shout out to everybody. I want to hear some testimonies of how it was when everybody, you know what I'm saying, when it's all said and done. But I'm quite sure it's gonna be a great event. So peace to guys, man. Peace to goddesses. All right, so back about what I was saying. I'm trying not to make this bill long. These I just got it from work. But hey man, the ancestors told me to do it. So, why not, right? All right, so and what I'm gonna be showing you is I'm gonna show you how ignorant a lot of these niggas is. Right? I'm gonna show you in first time. And I'm not saying everybody, because it's a lot of brothers that's out there doing the work and they know who they are. You know what I'm saying? My man OGTV, shout out to him. OGTV be doing a lot of shit on Tether, but he know that he's American Aborigine, American Indian. Okay. Some of these other FBAs, they still think they slaves, right? They still think they coming from a slave class, right? And the crazy thing is, none of these niggas can tell you emphatically. They know, yeah, it was some copper color individuals here, but then they always give credit to more so-called Africans coming here than so-called American Indians that was already here. And I'm going to tap in on a little bit of that as well, right? I got a bill coming up. It's going to be a pay-per-view, right? I don't know. Let me see. What's today? The 13th. I probably want to do it in about 2 weeks. So I'm probably going to be gunning. Let me see. Let me check the calendar real quick. Probably going to do it on the 23rd. If not the 20th, either the 23rd or the 29th. I'm going to do it. Either that Sunday or that Saturday on the 29th after Thanksgiving. I'm going to definitely got a bill. American was a Negro continent in its full entirety, right? From a lot of research that was done over the years, as well as some new research, right? But it's gonna be emphatically proof. And after this bill, should nobody be having any? They shouldn't be having any doubts about so-called Negroes being in America. If they don't have no doubts at this point in time, but this is kind of just more to kind of just push it through, because that have always been my mission, is to first establish that Negroes been in America. Then from there, you can see how they misclassified and mislabeled us and actually hid our whole history and actually came back and created a new history and called the so-called Negro, Black, African American, etc. Right? So it's always the starting point is always to recognize that it was already Negroes in America for shit millenniums, man, millenniums. thousands or tens of thousands of millenniums, or from the time of the existence of the actual continent forming. It have always been copper colored American Aborigines here. And this is our land, and this is where we from. No matter what part of you want to call America is from, we could say from Alaska all the way to Canada, and from Canada all the way through Argentina. It was Negroes here, but just specifically speaking on us, on in the Eastern, or I don't even want to say, I don't even want to call, I'm sorry, not the Eastern, but the Northern, how they call it, North America. We're not really even North America. We would be more Central America because we're under Alaska and Canada. Canada is America, even though they created demarcation lines and borders and changed the name, right? But that's also America. All that's connected to the same continent. So we would be Central America, what they call North America, right? And then if you really want to get all into that, we know that we know North is South and South is North, right? But that's a whole nother conversation for another time. All right. So definitely, man, peace to guys, peace to goddesses, man. So boom, let's see something real quick. All right, so look, check it out. So I was on this brother channel, right? And I'm not gonna call him out his name because I see that a lot of people are still learning. And some of this information, man, you know what I'm saying? This stuff will blow your mind. Especially when you thinking you're gonna get reparations as being a slave, right? But the crazy thing is when you really do your genealogy, you can't prove that you was a slave. You only could prove that you was a slave from you thinking that black people didn't exist in the Americas. And the black people existence here in America are only via the so-called Middle Passage, or what we want to call the slave trade. This is the only way people recognize that black people was in America. This is our whole existence. Our whole existence, according to some of these FBAs, is the only reason you see so-called melanated people, copper color, brown, light brown, dark brown skin, so-called people here is by way of the slave trade and some European going to the coast, the coast of West Africa, and kidnapping you and bringing you over here on a boat across one of the roughest oceans that ever existed, on a wooden boat tied to some boards or chained to some boards, right? While people is defecating, people are urinating, people is vomiting, women having their menstrual cycle, right? And through all of that, niggas was able to survive through all of that. And like I said, if you thinking you needed a COVID vaccination, that whatever bacteria that would have created would have killed, that shit will kill a whole city just from that bacteria forming. You understand? So if you believe that story, then you believe Mickey Mouse, you believe Superman, you believe all of these stories that these people, if someone can convince you that they went to Africa, put you in some shackle and chains, put you on a boat, and then brought you over here to a place that these people never been, and teach you how to farm and put you on plantations to produce products or produce that was already in existence in America. When these places that these people coming from, right, they don't even produce this stuff. Europe don't even produce half of this stuff. And if you want to get into the Mediterranean, then we can get into the American Indian conquest of that area and how that place was built from produce and us going over there cultivating that land as well, right? But if you believe that some Europeans, and remember, and from the time that they telling you from 1492 into 1619, right? Matter of fact, let's say 1492 all the way into 1865. There was no nation of Europeans running nothing. All of the nations that was over in Europe was ran by Aboriginal people, or if you want to call them Moors, you want to call them Black Europeans, or whatever you want to call them. We had dominion over there. No European. I don't care what stories they tell you. Oh, the barbarians and the Vikings and the Romans. All of them are all made up stories to put them into history, so that they can be dominant, right? So that they can be dominant over your education and over what you think, or whatever relevance it has to us being the people who ran this planet until after, like I said, 1865 going into 1965, right? So let's get it straight, right? So you got FBAs that's coming into it, right? Which is, like I said, and me personally, I support the FBA movement. And the only reason I support it is because it kind of like put a lot of these immigrants in their place. Now, if you know your brother A1 been talking about this immigration shit, and how I've been talking about this way before Tariq Nasheed. I might not talk about it all the time, right? But I've got videos. You can go back and check. I show you that a lot of these black cities, or the Negro towns, are the dropping points for these immigrants. They drop these people off in every town we done been in. And what they do is when they come here, they look in towns that we live in and say, oh, we can live there. It's black people living there. So we can live there. And then what they do is they keep coming, and then they overpopulate the so-called area. And then they start forming Little Haiti and Jamaica, Queens, and all of these places. All these places was originally FBAs, or American Aborigines, or American Indian territories or lands, right? But when people come here, they know they can't immediately go and live next to the white people, so they have to come and they live in our neighborhoods, and they overcrowd our neighborhoods. They overcrowd our neighborhoods, and they tell their people, "Oh yeah, well we live here," and then they move around us. And like I said, it's to the brothers and sisters who accept us, and the brothers and sisters who don't have no smoke for us. That's all well and cool. You understand what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we see it's a problem now. We see people come here and they talk down on our people, right? But go figure this, right? If it wasn't for the things we did and how we stood 10 toes down, people wouldn't be coming here, because these people would be getting lynched. These people be hanging from trees. So once they stop doing that and start making people feel comfortable, this is when you start seeing all these people come here. Prior to that, nobody wanted to come here. These people, and if they did come here, they hid under, if you want to say the FBA. I'm only using FBA just from an example of saying foundational so-called quotations. I don't believe no one is black, but black Americans, right? So I support that part of it. The part where we're separating ourselves from other people. And if you already know, us in the American Aborigine, American Indian community, we've been doing that. This is what we've been doing. We've been separating ourselves. And then we got to a point where we start separating ourselves from these ignorant niggas who think they fucking slaves. Or any nigga who pushing that slavery shit among our people. Any nigga who pushing it. Right? Hold up for a second. Let me find something real quick. I'm gonna play another video. Matter of fact, you know what? I might start with this video right here. Let me see. Let me find this real quick. Just give me 1 second, good peoples. Man, hit that like button, man. Share the build out if you can, man. Definitely share the build out if you can. Definitely appreciate it. So, you know, a lot of these dudes, right? They want reparations, right? They want reparations, but they don't know what reparations is for. Right? They don't know what reparations is for. So let me see something real quick. Bear with me, y'all. Let me go here. Let me see if I can find it. Hold up. Oh no, I ain't click on it. Hold up. All right, hold up. It should come up now. Hold up, people. Let me see if it come up now. All right, here you go, right here. Boom. So now check out what this sister said. But I'm gonna play the video of the engagement I had with this so-called FBA. Let me see if this shit coming up. What the oh, here we go. Well, I ain't share my screen yet. I want to make sure. All right, boom. Shout out to my man, King of America. He sent me this clip, man. Peace to God, man. So let's see. I'm a little rusty, y'all, so you gotta bear with me. But this shit is like riding a bike. Once I get the longer I do it, the better I'm gonna be at it. So just bear with me. All right. So boom. Go to right here. Boom. Check this out. Let me mute up. Let me mute my mic real quick. Boom.
Curry chicken biryani, very similar to FBA food, huh?
Not in any sense of the word. No.
Maybe you haven't had proper Indian food, huh?
Yeah, I see the goop scoops that y'all be having over there. It's just
Goop scoops,
right?
Brother, we help you with this.
None of our stuff look like goop scoops with all that green shit that y'all be having over there. We don't have none of that. Thank you, sir. Who is this sister here? Unmute your microphone, dear Miss Queen. Unmute your mic. I can't hear you. There you go. Let me get.
I didn't know that I was muted that whole time. So yeah, I just wanted to add to the slavery conversation. When I looked up my family's ancestral lineage through the paperwork that goes back, on my father's side, it goes back to about the 1600s or something like that. But when I went through the paperwork, I then found out that my great-great-grandfather was considered a Negro slave owner in Baltimore, and his slave was an Irishman. Crazy, right? So I went back even further, and he's then listed as mulatto in the census when I think it was like the 1840 census. Then if you go back one more time before that, they're considered Indian, right? So my family members look like everybody else too. I know I look a little bit whatever, but like my family members look like, everybody else. It was nothing different about them, but they're listed as Indian, then mulatto, then Negro slave owners. You can actually look my grandfather up on Google. His name was James Presco, Presco. It's in Baltimore on the free Negro slave owner list or whatever. He's like the third person, whatever, in Baltimore. Okay. But that was just what I wanted to add to it. And then if you look at like the documentation and stuff like that, he bought that white man from Ireland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we bought people
what year
over
was
here
this?
too.
What year was this? Because they had laws at a certain time where black people...
Hold on. Is my phone?
Hold
on, no. I can go, let me see if I can get my computer, because I can tell you the exact census this was on. Okay. Let me see. My phone might get dark. I'm about to go to my daughter's room and get her tablet.
Okay, because they wouldn't allow at a certain point, they wouldn't allow black people to own white people.
They owned white people, and I believe it was 1860. The free Negro slave owners, was it 1815 or 1860?
Look, check it out, right? Tariq Nasheed is still under these people education system, my nigga. You keep saying that they didn't allow. Who is they? White people did not run America until the shit after 1930, or they still ain't running then. They didn't run it until we got fully acquainted into these societies that they didn't chase us off of our original place or places where we was living at, right? And we moved into a lot of these cities, and a lot of these people started to form these coups in a lot of these cities and took over cities that was also ran by niggas. So this nigga saying, oh, well, oh, they didn't lie. See, once you start saying that, then either we ran this place or we didn't run it. It wasn't like how you see now. You come outside, you got a European neighbor, and then it's a nigga living next door to them or whatever, and y'all living in harmony. Nah, it was a person. It was one hierarchy that was ruling the other hierarchy. The other I mean, the lower. How do you want to say the lower hierarchy, right? These people didn't have no say so in nothing that was going on here because they couldn't own land, right? They couldn't own no land. So what would that make you? That would make you a lifetime servant, because if you can't own no land, then what are you doing? You will have to be a lifetime servant. And that's what the whole Civil War thing was about. The secession, the war secession, meaning dealing with land title. See, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know the Civil War was dealing with land title because these people couldn't own no land. And then even after the Civil War, we told these people, listen, my nigga, either you're going to stay on these plantations or you're going to go out west in the desert. This is when you see a lot of these Western movies, right? Where are these people living at? Do you see any trees? Do you see any farms? You don't see nothing but hay blowing through the towns. Nothing. You see nothing. Only thing you see is a desert with some buildings that they constructed, right? And these people at most is eating potatoes and maybe some wild birds every day. You don't see no farms. You don't see no plantations. You don't see nothing. And this is the land that we gave them people. But then after a certain period of time, right, a lot of these so-called Negroes, right, that had these Slavic mothers, right, who knew that they was going to be slaves, was able to sneak in because they look like us, right, and was able to overthrow a lot of shit that we had going on. Now, I don't really want to get too deep into that, but that's just to give you kind of a idea of like what my research and what I've seen, right? Because I can't let these people come in and make an explanation for something that makes no sense. I have to look at both sides of the story. I have to look at the the original story, then I gotta look at the opposition of the story. Then I have to kind of like, well, see, like, you know, how make some sense of what I'm getting from both sides. See, these niggas don't make no sense of that. They let the Europeans come in and give them advice and give them these ridiculous ass explanations, and they just regurgitate it. They regurgitate it back to the people because the white man says something, and all he's doing is hiding the fact that his people really were slaves. And I say it again, right? Like I've always said, it's so funny that you never hear none of these people admit that they were slaves. Every time a slave story comes up, who is the one raising their hand? The American Indian. The American Indian that have been tricked into now taking on a social status that was dealing with these Slavic people. Now we're the slaves. And now the whole world look at us as we were slaves. They don't look at you as the people who created most of the science that go around the world. Let's put it like that. Most of the science, most of the basic science that you need for you to be able to exist, right? Or for you to be able to extend your quality of life, right? Most of the sciences came from us, but they still put us at a permanent underclass, like Dr. Claude Anderson say, right? Now he don't say it in the way that he was saying it, but he's saying it as a way to where we done been tricked into being a permanent underclass. These FBA guys, only thing they want is reparations. Now, a redress of grievances because of what they did, how they stole the land. And in all cases, we didn't get our land stolen. In some cases, some of our people actually sold the land without even telling the family. So there's a lot of different ways that we lost the land. But trust me, believe, some people got deboed out of their land and forced off their land and pushed into other areas. That is definitely a fact, right? But if you listen to what the young lady just said, right, about her people owning slaves, see now, A1 been talking about this shit for years. A1 been talking about this shit for years. A1 been telling you, and that was the critical moment where I had to look at this shit and say, wait a minute, man. What would be the possibility that Europeans will bring you from Africa and allow you to own fucking slaves? That it makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense. Why would they bring you from Africa? They don't have to give you no power or give you no dominion. I mean, they don't have to give you power or allow you to, you know what I'm saying, get into the same economic economy or economic resources that they got. They don't have to do that. And why would they do that? Right? Hold on one second, yo. Hold up. But yeah, shouldn't be thousands of slave owners. Shouldn't be no Anthony Johnson owning black ants and white slaves. First so-called slave owner. That shit should not exist, my nigga. Along with all of the other crucial research that we have put to this. So I'm just kind of summarizing and paraphrasing it. I'm not putting it in its full entirety, right? But that's just to give you a brief understanding, right? For those of y'all already know how A1 give it up. I just been chilling. You understand what I'm saying? But like I said, when it comes to these FBAs, these niggas want reparations because they believe that they are descendants of Africans that mix with Native Americans, right? That mix with Native Americans. Because a lot of these niggas call themselves Native Americans. They call themselves Native Americans, right? They think they are descendants of African slaves who mix with some free Native Americans. How would an African slave that's on a plantation have time to mix with a Native American? Oh, the Native American had slaves. No, see, these niggas is creating stories within stories within stories. Yeah. The Native Americans, aka the American Aborigines or American Indians, copper color races, right? Of course they had slaves. But then because you answer to the term slave, then when you see any literature that says Indians had slaves, you automatically think they was American, you automatically think they were fucking Africans, my nigga. And even when you see so-called melanated people in their tribes, you don't understand that a lot of these melanated people who were classified as mulatto and Negro, right, had white descendants. That's why they was fucking slaves. That's why they was the slaves, because the condition of the mother is the condition of the child. Period. Point blank. That's what makes sense at this point of time. We can't let these Europeans keep giving us explanations for some stuff that doesn't make sense. Period. And then you want to get all into the whole, you want to get all into the Indian slaves and Indian slavery. I can go all into that too, which I had to kind of like sit back for a second and look at that. I had to take a second look at that and say, wait a minute, man. These numbers are being exacerbated. They're being exacerbated. They're being like misconstrued. And then like me, myself, I was a victim of doing bills and doing research on this and kind of cross-referencing some of that, right, with the numbers that I'm seeing American Indian slaves, right, and looking at the plantations and saying, wait a minute, man, how do you got 2.22 to 5 million so-called Indians that were slaves, right, that would have been on the same plantations as these so-called Africans, right? And when you look into the slaveboy.org story, right, well, now the numbers is changing even with that, but let's go with the original number. The original number they were saying was 240 something thousand, right? So 240 something thousand mixed in to 2 to 5 million so-called Indians that would have been on the same plantations of white people, make fucking sense. But however you look at it, a lot of these FBAs think they are descendants of Africans that mixed in with Native Americans. Period. Some of them. But if not all of them believe that they have some slave ancestor in their immediate lineage. Now let me keep rocking up. Okay. Peace to God.
Hold on for 1 second. I'm about to Google it while we're on here. Hold on for 1 second.
Yeah. All right. Someone said Muhammad Ali's daughter. No, she's not. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to see how that worked because, yeah, they had, like in Virginia and places like that, they had strict laws against black people owning white people. They had real strict laws against that. So let's see what's going on with that. I'm going to get some more people in here while we're waiting on that sister, while we're waiting on Miss Queen. You back?
No, I'm 30.
Oh.
I have a 10-year-old and 8 books. I have a book about hoodoo.
Was it Maryland?
It was Maryland and Baltimore.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna get some more people in here while we're waiting on that sister, while we're waiting on Miss Queen. You back?
It was 1830, the 1830 free Negro slave owners list. If you type that in on Google, the free Negro slave owners 1830, the whole list will come up.
And that was in Maryland?
It was Maryland.
See now look, he gonna say, look, he don't know that the free Negro slave owners have black slave owners in every goddamn state. Just so happened that Virginia, Maryland, South Carolina, and Louisiana have the largest population of Negro slave owners. But see, he don't know that. But he's gonna say, oh well, was that in Maryland? Like thinking the whole book consists of just Negroes owning slaves in Maryland. He don't know that it was from fucking Connecticut, Massachusetts, all the way down to even Florida. You see certain states, you see certain regions of Florida in there, which they try to tell you that Florida didn't have no slave. It's all bullshit. From Florida all the way to the Mississippi and Louisiana area. Okay? And I believe Texas is also in there. Well, it's been a minute since I glanced through it or whatever, but I did a whole bill. I went from the beginning to the end, read through every state on that book. But see, these guys don't know that. And when they see it, they're going to try to make an explanation of why they want to continue to be the victim and continue to be slaves. They don't want to make no sense of that. They don't want to make no sense of that. When they see that, they still is not going to come to the conclusion and say, wait a minute. How would all these black slave owners exist before 1865 if you think that black people was freed in 1865? How in 1830 you got hundreds of thousands of black slave owners, right? How do you got hundreds of thousands of black slave owners, right? And another thing is, right, anytime you talk to any of these people, everybody is a self-admitting slave. Everybody will say that they was a slave. Even they never done a genealogy. They never done a genealogy. They didn't look through none of their historical records, but they would just willingly call themselves a slave because this is what they've been fucking taught. And these niggas stand on it. This is what they've been taught. And that's a dangerous thing when somebody can teach you something and you can acquiesce to it, right? You can acquiesce to it. Then when you got a brother like me trying to free you, you want to turn the gun on me and like, nigga, I'm a slave, nigga. Stop saying I was free. Stop saying my people own slaves, nigga. I'm a slave. Like, make some sense of that. Make some sense of that. You want to hear it with the other brother, this joker, Afro Elite, right? You want to hear it with him because half of these FBA, and I'm not saying Tariq Nasheed always say that he's not a leader, but he is the one that coined the term FBA. So by default, a lot of these people follow under him. They follow under him by default. But then you got some FBAs that watch American Aborigine videos, Tontonist One, AP, Dane Calloway, Top Cat, whoever. You understand what I'm saying? They watch these videos and they get a better understanding. You understand what I'm saying? But me personally, my whole point before I established anything, I had to establish the identity of these so-called Indians and the characteristics and how we are the people who was already here through the images, through the literature, through the anthropology, through the through the congressional records, however you want to put it. We had to establish that fact that we was already here and our people was never no fucking slaves. Now we had to establish that fact, period. So let's hear a little bit more what the sister got to say before I play the other video.
In Baltimore.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna look into that. What city you in, by the way?
I live in Baltimore still.
Okay. What you do out there, dear? What do you do out there?
I'm actually an author and I do interior design. So
What kind of books you write?
I write fiction books. I have a book about hoodoo, but mostly fiction, like science fiction books.
Okay. How many kids you got? You say you and your daughter. How many kids you got?
I have 2.
How old are they?
I have a 10-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Oh, okay. Where's your baby dad?
At
Plural.
work.
Or baby dads, plural.
At work.
Both of them or just one of them?
It's 2 of them. I have one and another one. Yeah, 2.
Oh, okay. Now, how old are you? What, 25?
No, I'm 30.
Okay. That's what it is. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, beloved. Thank you, Miss Queen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right. All right. All right. Let's get some more folks in here. Y'all raise.
Now you see, check this out, right? Now you see, he wasn't interested in. He wasn't interested in going further into how her family owned slaves. He had to redirect the whole thing, and then get into his lower self by asking her all these other questions. Nigga, you should have stuck to what she was saying, because that was something that's interesting. You understand what I'm saying? Her family and her baby dad and how many kids she got, that shit don't mean nothing. That shit ain't got nothing to do with the fact that she gets told you her people own slaves. And he redirected the whole conversation as opposed to sticking on that part. And at least going further into that conversation. He didn't want to go into that conversation. And this is what bothers me with this guy, Tariq Nasheed, right? Because this is why a lot of people, think that he's an agent. Now, listen, when it comes to these tethers and it comes to checking them, listen, I love the content when he does that. But when it comes to this part right here, he got to sit back and let us do let us jump in the driver's seat. You know what I'm saying? And you never see him with no guests. You never see him inviting brothers who've been up here talking about this for years on his platform, because that's going to take away from him. He wants to be the head nigga in charge all the time. But when it comes to this paradigm over here, we're the head niggas in charge. And I know I'm one of them. So it's like everybody can be taught. Everybody can be taught. People like Dr. Nelly Fuller say, I am still learning. I'm still learning. No, I do not know everything, but I already know what he don't know by what he already saying. He's telling us what he don't know by the shit that he's saying. So let's get into this other bill real quick, right? Hold up for a second. Matt Turner was paid.
Okay. Now, as far as being foundational Black American, I'm not going to sit up there and make you something that you don't want to be. But let's be honest. When I say it, I'm talking about a lineage of people who are here, who are foundational to America. Now, if you were Black and you are already here, or Negro, whatever you want to call it, and already here, you would still be a foundational Black American.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
So
in Europe in the 1400s. Here, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Now, I don't really.
When it's something we should be involved in, and when it's not. This whole National Guard, them coming in to bring ICE and all of that stuff, that's got nothing to do with us. That is not our fault. Okay. To be very honest with you, they're getting rid of a problem that's already in our community. So we should just step back. Okay. As foundational Black Americans, we need to step back and mind our business. That's all we need to just mind our business. All right. Now, of course, we got to be careful because we know police, especially Chicago police, they like to antagonize folk and start an incident. So yeah, we got to be careful and watch out for all that. But as far as all of this stuff with ICE and all that stuff, we not panicking. They've been saying all year long we was gonna get deported, and that ain't happened not one time. So they know they're trying to get us to be on the front lines, and we out the way, and that's good. So that's what we got to keep doing. Call area code 86862. You're on live.
Peace. What's up, Afro Lee? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I just want to
Now let me just hold up real quick, just in case this nigga get whiffed and I'm doing a build on him and he try to flag my channel. Hold up. Got the fair use. Hold up. At the bottom of the screen, but I want to read this shit. Let me see. All right, fair use is a legal doctrine that allows you to use copyrighted work without permission from the owner by evaluating 4 factors: the purpose and characters of your use. The nature of the copyright work is for educational purposes, okay? And if you want to say entertainment, because it will be entertainment purposes as well, okay? Peace of God. Let's get back to the bill.
add some clarity to a lot of things that's really going on, like as far as us as FBA. Now, I don't identify as an FBA because I'm what you call a true American. I'm an Atanchan. I'm an American Aborigine. My people were Jamasi, right? Aniyawiya and Creek, okay? And these was Negroes who was already in America. So like even with the addressment of what FBA. Now I done heard you talk about Louisiana, right? But there's other human remains that was found here. You got Naya that was found in the Yucatan. Now the Yucatan was part of Florida, right? Was part of Florida. When you look at all of these tribes, all the way from the Micmac, all the way down to the Gullah Coast, which is the Gullah, which is the Timacoans and the Yamasis and the Seminole, all of them are the same tribes. And these are all Negroes who've been in America. They ain't come here on no slave ship. These people was already here. We was already here, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And even the word slave come from the word Slav. You understand what I'm saying? So when you get into even the terminology, see, we just raise our hand because that's what the Europeans taught us that we would say. But the Europeans were slaves. Okay? They were slaves. When you look at who ran Europe in the 1500s, Moors ran Europe in the 1500s, black people. Wasn't no white people running Europe in the 1400s. You understand what I'm saying? So the war was between, you want to call us black, Negro, colored, that was already in America against the Negroes or Moors that was in Europe. Okay. The wars was between us. So even the 13 colonies was ran by 5 black kings. Now, these 13 colonies had to get permission from the Mama Namatop. That means chiefs of chiefs. They didn't just come here like these stories where they tell you, oh, yeah, everybody just came to it. That's BS. You could not come across that Atlantic Ocean like that, my brother, because we had ships. We are the original Marines. When they tell you...
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, as far as being foundational Black American, I'm not going to sit up there and make you something that you don't want to be. But let's be honest. When I say it, I'm talking about a lineage of people who are here, who are foundational to America. Now, if you were black and you are already here, or Negro, whatever you want to call it, and already here, you would still be a foundational Black American.
Yeah, I don't.
So it's not all about the slave trade, but just the. But my question is this. My question is this though.
Look what.
you are acknowledging that slavery happened, that there was a chattel slavery in this country, right?
Not to us. Not to us. Not to us. Not, it ain't happened to us.
Okay,
It happened
okay,
to
well,
white
who-
300,000.
Hold on, let me. Okay, so
okay,
if
I'm sorry,
so, you're saying that that didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. Not the story that they told. That story came after Reconstruction.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Black-
so there
you know what I
was
mean?
okay, so there was no slavery here.
The slavery
Or who were the
were
slaves?
white people.
The
White
slaves were
people
white
that
people.
that was brought here by yes. The word look up. See, nobody ever looked up the word slave. Nobody never looked at the definition. We just agreed and acquiesced to what Europeans told us. Europeans were slaves. More than 300,000 Europeans was brought here into the 13 colonies. Now, even if you look at slaveboys.org, right, they tell you it was 200,000 Africans brought to North America, which every year that number gets shorter and shorter. Now, when you go on slaveboys.org, the number is 48,000, bro. The whole Glory Island thing is a lie. When they tell you that they brought 21 million so-called Africans.
Okay, let me ask you this question then. Let me ask you this question because we all acknowledge that slavery, and I just want to make sure we get to this because, you know, to respect the time of other people's callers, but just so we can clear things up. Who, if you're saying Europeans were enslaved, who were the slave masters in this country?
Us. And I'm not saying every black person, right? I'm not saying every black person owned slave, but the majority of the black slave owners was black people, bro. I got a whole book. And hold on.
So you're saying that Negroes, Negroes owned European slaves in this country?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Brother. Okay.
Go
Because the thing is that now it seems as if now we're doing too much and we're getting to, oh, well, do you know where the word slave comes from? So apparently the story of like Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, none of that stuff ever happened, right?
Nat Turner was paid by like you, all right, the nicer KK, a nicer Golden Circle and the KK.
It's real quick, right? I got a little crossed up on that though, but Judah Benjamin, which was a mulatto, right? Which there's a lot of interesting things about Judah Benjamin, right? Who was also part of the nicer Golden Circle, right? And what they was doing in a lot of cases, they was paying other Negroes to go around and slaughter other Negro slave owners. Now, that might not make sense to the person this is their first time hearing it, but even when you get into Nat Turner, right? There's records that he never even existed. So just the storyline that goes with it, I'm giving you both stories, and we're going to talk about the Nat Turner slavery or rebellion, right? And then we also talk about the records that he never existed, that he was created. I can't even get all into who he was created by, but I'm trying to think of the never mind. We'll get into that another time, whatever, right? But there's other stories that Nat Turner never existed. Then there's another story that Nat Turner went in and he killed what I can't think of what county it was in Virginia. But whatever county it was in Virginia, the majority of the slave owners is in the 1830 free Negro heads of families, right? The majority of slave owners in it was niggas. So if he went into that part of Virginia and killed slave owners, you think he skipped past the motherfucking niggas? And these niggas think that niggas own niggas. These niggas think niggas own niggas. So you think Nat Turner gonna skip through the part? Make it make sense, my nigga. That's what I'm trying to say. As long as we keep getting explanations from these people, we're not gathering our thoughts and we're not trying to make explanations from literature that we actually read and that basically goes against everything that they teaching you. See, the story is only good as long as only one story. Once there's another story, then you got ho. Let's see Let's see what credit or what's the credence of this story existed. Then you have to kind of tap into that too, to where you can cross-reference both sides of the stories and see which side of the story make more sense. Now, if I never found that free heads of Negro slave owners or Negro slave owners, and looked into the county that so-called Nat Turner went and did the rebellion in, and seen that the majority of the so-called slave owners in that county was niggas. So he went past the Negro plantations and just went to the white people. Make it make sense, my nigga. So let's get back into the bill.
Okay, right? They pay him to go into Virginia. The majority of the black slave owners was in Virginia, Maryland, South Carolina, and Louisiana. We talk about hundreds of thousands of black slave owners, my brother.
Okay, brother, listen. Okay. If that's the case, watch this, y'all. Watch this. If that's the case, how did it flip? How did we become, if we were the slave, hold on, brother, hold on.
Okay.
If we were the slave masters and they were the slaves, if they were coming over here as slaves and they were working the plantations and building America, how did it flip to where the Negroes who were the slave masters are now subjugated and the slaves have now taken over control of the whole country, and now they're the ones who run a system of a racial hierarchy over their former slave masters? How explain to me, and I've let you talk for a reason. Explain to me how that flipped. If what you call the Negroes, black people, we weren't the slaves, we were the slave masters. How did it flip between that and then now Jim Crow, and now we drinking out of a colored water fountain, and now we got black codes and convict leasing? How did that flip? How did that happen?
Okay, so let me explain this. All right, so boom. So the Civil War was the free white slaves. It wasn't the free black slaves. I know that's what they tell us, but it was a free white slaves. After 1865, a lot of the white slaves started to form a lot of these militia groups, like the KKK. So when you start seeing from 1865 all the way into the I want to say until after Brown versus Board and when the Civil Rights Act started, right? So from 1865, when you get these militia groups are going into black towns that have been established for hundreds of years. We don't know how long they've been established, right? But they going into them towns and burning our towns down and displacing a lot of our people. Now, a lot of our people fought against the slaves, against the ones that was free, right? So then when you get to the 1900s, right? You get to the 1900s, right? So what happened was, so the government that they formed around us, right? Which the United States been existed, you know, that goes back into the Great Law of Peace, right? There's all of that, the Constitution all comes from the Great Law of Peace. And that's written documentation that we had, the Continental Congress, and all of this stuff, right? So what happened was this, right? You had government agents that used to go around the black towns, right? Telling black people or telling the Aborigines or the Indians or whatever you want to call them that they can protect them. Now, some people took their protection, right? But understand what happened. With the form of their protection, now you are under their jurisdiction, because what they would do is they will issue a deed for your land. Now, unbeknown to you, they're taxing you behind the scenes. So now they will come back maybe a year later and tell you, oh yeah, well, since we provided you with enforcement, you have to pay taxes, and this is how much money you owe. Now, this is not what was communicated to our people at first, right? So after they come in and you can't pay it, guess what happens? They'll take the land. Now, with the fact that they're running in towns, they're flooding towns, they're flooding towns.
Okay, brother, thank you. Thank you for educating us.
Okay.
All right. I mean, that's enough of that. Okay, we got to understand, I don't know if this person is actually from our lineage, let's be honest, and we got to watch out for that. because he'll go in another live and he'll say some things like, oh, we don't understand our true history. And there's a lot of people.
No, I'm gonna come on my live and say you don't understand your true history, youngin. That's what I'm gonna do, youngin. This nigga's a little nigga, and like I said, he's coming into his own light. He does some work against these tethers. But when you talking about Aboriginal title and the Tanchan and American Indians, nigga, this is art. This is my lane. So I don't have to go to no other platforms. Me being on another platform, giving out that information, that's a gift from me to the people. Okay, that's a gift. So I'm the Tanchanist one, meaning my people came from the land itself. Now I know that may sound cliche at this point in time, nigga, but that's what make us Americans. So I don't have to claim to be foundational, nigga. I'm a Tanchanist to this land, my nigga. One sprung from the soil. Don't get more foundational than that, nigga. The foundation that you sitting on is the land of the Tanchan. And he will never understand that because his teacher is Tariq Nasheed. His teacher is Tariq Nasheed. These niggas is going around trying to get reparations for being slaves, my nigga. And this is why white people never gave it to y'all, because white people know the true history that you had them enslaved. That's why they keep running around in circles and creating more evidence to make you think you was a slave. You understand? Oh yeah, we gotta do more research on it. We have to do more research on it. We have to do get a committee to do a study on, nigga. Listen, at this point in time, nigga, you making whole movies. You got whole criterias and curriculums in college teaching people that we was enslaved. So now you need more research and you need to do a study. You need to get more studies. What more? Because this is, like I said, this is all a way of them stalling out. And one day they're going to come out and tell you that you own white slaves. But it ain't going to be now. But until then, these FBA dudes is just going to keep running around. These niggas don't want to, they don't want to give up that title of being a slave because they think it has a bag attached to it. Now, I'm not saying that our people shouldn't be awarded, a redress of grievances for the pain and suffering. And even when you say reparations, because the root word of reparations is repairing something that was damaged, or repairing a damage that was done to a people, right? But it ain't the reparations for them bringing you over here on those slave ships. It ain't that. Or having you on some plantation talking about 1865, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, right? It ain't because of that, right? If Abraham Lincoln himself was a goddamn nigga, right? Abraham Lincoln himself was a nigga, right? So how did Abraham Lincoln free the slaves? Now, real quick, I'm going to go back because this nigga said a lot. He said a lot and he did a lot. So hold on for a second. Let me see something. All right, let me remove this. Let's go back here. Oh, no. I gotta stop it right there. All right, it's been a minute. All right, because they changed up stream, y'all. All right, so boom, let's go over something real quick. All right. Entire screen. All right, so look. So whether you believe it or not, right? Now, like I said, I can source up Forgotten Cause of Civil War, right? By Lawrence R. Tenzer, right? They said throughout the slavery days, a slave was a mulatto if she had any degree of white or black parentage. It must be clearly understood that even after many generations, white people who had a mere one drop of black blood could be could be and were enslaved as mulatto. Now check this out. Even the story itself of what he's saying, but he's going to come to a crucial point where you're going to, at that point in time, you're going to have to kind of like understand what's going on, right? So it's saying white mulattoes, right? It's saying that is to say that white slaves, these individuals look white and had no visible African ancestry whatsoever. Many people have heard of the one drop rule. It's saying where it be the most amount of black blood makes one black. It's saying what is often overlooked, however, it is the fact that in reality that this is a social classification. A white person and a person who has a distinct black ancestors but no discernible black traits look the same and are both psychologically white human beings. It was the most common thinking in the North to hold that slave who looked like a white person were white and not mulattoes, not black people. Hold up, let me take this down real quick. Let me move it up a little bit. Oh no, let me go back. All right, hold up. Let me hide this. It said it was not black people. It said as it would be seen that the political ramifications of white slavery was the ultimately the cause of the Civil War. Right, now check this out, right? Now, Lincoln is the one that's supposed to free the slaves, right? Lincoln was the one that's supposed to free the slaves, right? But it says Lincoln was said to be the legitimate son of a Negro, Nancy Hanks. It said in his campaign for presidency, he was often referred to as a Negro by his opponents. Now, check this out. Now, I don't want to get into that, but I'm thinking that Lincoln also had either his mother was white and his father was black and he was a manumission. I don't think that his mother was a Negro, right? But that's just something that I kind of came to understand in dealing with this, right? Let me make sure we still on, because I know y'all got this thing where it like to kick me out. Okay, all right. So look, they said he was also often referred to as a Negro by his opponents, right? It said what gave strength to this was that his hair was so Negroid, then Caucasian. So was his color. His father, his father, he said, his face was round, his complexion was swarthy, hair black and coarse, eyes brown. It's saying of himself of dark complexion with coarse black hair and dark eyes, right? So now check this out, right? So if the nigga who freed so-called slaves was a goddamn president, my nigga, was a president. So if the president was a Negro at that point in time, do you honestly think he freed Negro slaves, my nigga? Make it make sense, right? No more sources, right? This is, hold up. Let me see something, right? No, I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to go to his biography, right? The Life of Abraham Lincoln, right? So it said, this is by C. Richards. This is a statement. It said, my father came to Spencer County, Indiana in 1828. Lincoln was tall, raw bone at 18. When 17 years old, he was 6 feet. He was 6 feet. He said he was somewhat bony and raw, dark skinned. Okay, dark skinned. Now check it out. So it's too many sources that's giving the description of actual Abraham Lincoln, my nigga. So these niggas don't know this. See, a lot of these FBAs, they don't know this stuff because they're going by what they're hearing Europeans saying. These people believe that Europeans is actually going to educate you and tell you exactly who you was. Okay? That's another description of what they say look like, as well as the one that they said this is actually in the Library of Congress, right? All right. Now, it says what? It's the original picture hidden in the Library of Congress, right? This is a description of what they say Lincoln looked like. Now, these niggas just sit here and argue with you. Oh, no, that Lincoln ain't look like that. We believe that Lincoln looked like this. We believe he looked like this. These niggas is the masters of the remix single. They are the masters of putting so-called actors and recreating this whole history, and they got people believing this shit, right? Got people believing it, right? Hold on, I'm gonna touch on one more thing before I go further into it. I think I might have passed it. Hold on, let me see. Oh no, I didn't pass it. There you go. So, and this is from our good brother, the Negro Question Part 7, Lee Cummings, the swarthy memoirs of a Black American Revolution in 1775, 1780, right? And this is some of the sources in which he found, right? So, all right, so boom. It said the Negro Question, Volume 6. Lee Cummings is saying in a book that also talks about Black King James and the Bible. It's saying Black Swartz and Black Jacobites and how the original 13 colonies were black. Okay? So let me see, I think I got it right here. All right, so boom. So it said these are the five black founders of the 13 colonies: King James Stewart, King Charles Stewart, King Charles II Stewart, King James II, and King George III. Okay, 1607, Virginia, founded by Black Scots. Now check this out. Do not get an impression that so-called Moors or Black Europeans came to this land and did what they wanted to do. If you understand what a charter is, then you will understand that that had to be something that the people who was here allowed these people to set up these spots. That's why they needed a fucking charter. Because we allowed them to set this up. You understand? We allowed them to set this up. But just knowing, just saying, wait a minute, man. Even if you don't believe Lee Cummings, right? The fact that he got sources in that book, right? The fact that he got actual fucking sources in that book that's actually showing you that these people was Negroes. That right there should be something that you should have. You should be like, wait a minute. So the 13 colonies founded by black people, or founded by so-called Aborigines, or Black Europeans who had descendants, or was part of this empire that came back here and was allowed to open these spots up, or if you want to say that these actual kings was already in America. Okay? So when you get to clowns like this dude, so when you get to clowns like this guy, hold up, let me see something real quick. All right. I guess that's how you got to do it now. Sorry about that, because this shit is a little different since the last time I was sharing screen. So when you get into clowns like him, who is a baby to this, look at him. He looked like a goddamn baby. You understand what I'm saying? He looks like a baby. He looks like he have no clue on what he doing or what he talking about. He just want to be a young Tariq Nasheed. So check it out. Now look how they slandered your brother after he kicked me off the panel. Now check it out. I'm play it.
People who don't understand the misinformation and the deceit.
Let me tell you who I am real quick. Let me tell you who I am.
Hold on, no, that's enough. That's enough, brother.
I just want to tell you where you can find my information at.
No. Yeah, had to hang up. That's enough. That's enough. Now, what I asked him was I let him speak. I asked him this. Okay, how did it flip? How did it flip? Because this is something that we're hearing that, actually, we own slaves and all that stuff. Okay, how did it flip between black people owning European slaves, okay, to now Jim Crow right after slavery, convict leasing right after slavery, black laws right after slavery? How did all of that stuff happen? Okay, Tell me exactly how that stuff happened then. Okay. Now he's bringing up dates. We have documentations and photographs, okay, that still exist today of that time. Okay. We have actual people who actually were slaves, who gave their documentation, who are on video talking about what slavery was like. This last slave didn't die until I think it was like the 19, if I'm not mistaken, 70s. The last actual documented slave didn't die until the 1970s. All of this stuff is very well documented. This is a lot of revision.
How would a documented slave die in 1970? Right. So even if he was born 100 years from 1970, which would be 1670, that would make him 100 years old. And according to history, the Emancipation Proclamation was done in 1665. Now let's say that we know there's some people that's living that may be 115 years old or 120, and in some cases I heard that one of the oldest people on the planet was like 130 something, right? According to them, right? Well, let's just say he was 100 years old, right? These niggas is getting, they're getting stories of people who worked on plantations, my nigga. People who worked on plantations, who family might have owned the plantation. My father told me, right? Now this is from my father, man. This is what my father told me. My father told me once I started to really talk to him and grill him about a lot of stuff, he was like, man, we weren't never no slaves, right? He said my grandfather owned 1,000 acres from Florida going into Georgia. He said we had he wouldn't call them plantations, but he said we had hundreds of acres of farms, right? He said that when he was young, he used to have to work on these farms, right? And he always told, my father always tell me, right? He was like, man, the country life was rough, man. I used to have to work on the farm. I used to have to do this. He said that's the reason why as soon as I got old enough, I moved up north, right? This is what he's saying. Now, in part of moving up north, he abandoned his land, right? He abandoned his land. He don't know what his land will be worth now. But he couldn't see that far. He just wanted to kind of get away because he had another option, right, to come up north and probably work for somebody when he could have worked for his own family. So you want me to believe that a man in the last slave died in 1970 and he was giving you testimony? Like I said, man, you have to be real careful with these dudes. These dudes are just as bad as Pan-Africans, man, because these dudes will kind of make you think. They will put you right back into that victim mentality and have you calling yourself a slave, man, willingly. You willingly calling yourself a slave, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they would share crops. You understand? Sharing crops, man. Sharing crops. They want you to think a sharecropper was a bad term. It's a compound word. Sharing crops, nigga. Bartering, right? My father also told me on his family land, they had pecans, they had cotton, they had peaches, plums, and a bunch of other stuff, right? But he told me what they used to do is they used to take the pecans, right, and put them into barrels, right? They used to take the pecans and put them into barrels and take them to the mills. The mills had scales on it, so they would give you however much the barrel weigh. That's how much they would give you in I guess you want to say currency, okay? In currency. And he said this is how he actually used to make his money, like when they was young, because they would take the crops from their land and sell it to the mills, and then the mills would sell it. So the mills was like a large farmer market. You know what I'm saying? That individuals that had certain crops on their land that they would sell to the mills. Now, this is what my father told me. It's what he told me. So I said, you used to sell cotton? He said, yeah, we sell cotton, plums, peaches. He said we put them in a barrel. Me and my sister, he said, because my father had about, shit, I think it was about at least 17 or 18 of them. There was so many of them and shit. I forgot to count. But however it go, said he was taken to the mills. And the mills used to give them, they used to put on the scale. He said he put the whole barrel on the scale. Him and his sister lift it up, put on the scale, right? And whatever, however much it weighed, is how much money he would get. And he said he did that. Oh, and I asked him, I said, well, why didn't you keep doing that? He said, man, that country life was hard, man. He said, I wanted to come up to the big lights in the city. And this is what a lot of our people did. A lot of our people abandoned our property and came up north so that they can be so that he could be a taxi driver and eventually a truck driver, but not seeing the worth that he had in his land. So this guy, Afro Elite, is going to tell a similar story like that. And see, these niggas, they always want to try to make, no matter what you hear, right? They always want to go back to being a slave victimhood mentality and asking for reparations. And I'm not saying, listen, my nigga, we are owed a redress of grievance. We are owed a redress of grievances. We are owed that. We are owed that. And he said something else, right? So think of it like this, right? Let's make sense of this real quick, right? So boom, let's make sense of this shit. So while we talking about it, let's run over let's dot all our I's and cross all our T's, right? If the man who created the Emancipation Proclamation was a so-called Negro, check. Let's put that right there, right? Check. Let's read a source to you that the Civil War was because of white slavery, even though that they try to double it down, right? They try to double it down because understand this too, right? Wasn't no white. I don't think no white man was breeding with white women. I think all of the breeding came from Negroes breeding with white women. This is just from the research that I've seen. You understand what I'm saying? So check on that, right? Check that, right? If the first black slave owner was a nigga, we got evidence all the way from 1619, all the way into when we get to the William Ellisons of the world, right? We get to the William Ellisons of the world in the mid 1800s or around Emancipation Proclamation time, right? So you got niggas still owning slaves who wasn't freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Then right after that, right, when so-called Slavics got freed, right, they start running them up, start burning cities down, right? And then you start seeing what you call Jim Crow, right? If white people really hated us that much, they would have never let no nigga own slaves, and whatever you seen during Jim Crow would have been all the way from 1619 all the way to 1865. They would have never owned it. It would never be. Check this out. Hold up. Real quick, hold up. Let me remove this guy. All right, let me stop that. All right, that's how it works. Okay. So let me go back. Let's make some sense of some of this stuff, right? Hold on 1 second. Hold on. All right, so hold up real quick. All right, so boom. All right, so put it here, right? So remember what he just said, right? And this is why I'm glad I put this into this PowerPoint, because you gotta, at this point in time, you gotta become a thinking man, right? You have to start thinking at this point in time. I'm just gonna play Antoine Doubelet. Now let's read from him, right? Now remember, the Emancipation Proclamation supposed to be after they freed so-called Negroes who were slaves, right? And then right after the Emancipation Proclamation, White people was mad because black people got free, and then they started what you call Jim Crow and all that, right? But check this out, right? If white people was running shit, then why would this man, right, a nigga like this ever exist before the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Antoine Dibelec was born a free man to free parents and inherit a large sugar plantation called Cedar Grove from his father. Under his father, the plantation was small and contained only a few slaves. Under Antoine leadership, it grew, and by 1860, now 1860 is before the Emancipation Proclamation, right? He owned over 100 slaves and had one of the largest sugar plantations in Louisiana. He was extremely wealthy, and even more so than any of his white neighbors. So why didn't white people go in there and tie this man up and lynch him and take his shit? Because what you're seeing is after the Emancipation Proclamation, 1865, Europeans was mad because we owned everything and we had everything. So most of the hatred you see is from one, they being the condition of their slavery, and two, being the condition that they didn't have nothing. So this is what you see. So this is what you see even dealing with Jim Crow. You understand? So this is what you see even with Jim Crow. You understand what I'm saying? So, what else is it? He was elected and served as state treasurer during the Reconstruction era. And it's saying one of the only black men, now it's saying one of the only black men, which we already know they doubling down. Why would they let any black man do this? Why would they let any black man be so wealthy that he was so wealthy even more than his white neighbors? This is before the Emancipation Proclamation. So the hatred you see at Jim Crow, right? Why didn't it exist back then? Why didn't it exist? Why didn't it exist when you had all of these Negro slave owners, man? And like I said, this is just Louisiana, right? I just put Louisiana in, right? Now, look. Now we're going to count. This is one page right here, right? This is 2 pages. This is 3 pages. And look, let me blow them up for you so you can see how many actual. Let me see. Hold up. Let me go right here. So look, let me go back to the top. So this is Louisiana, right? So it's 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages. And each page got hundreds of slave owners on it. Right? If we had to really count them, right? Louisiana continued. Look, Louisiana continued, right? And this book is from the head of Negro slave owners, right? Head of Negro slave owners, right? So this nigga, why would they let Negroes own slaves? And what we seen during Jim Crow that they didn't do all the way from the time of, let's go back, Anthony Johnson, right? Right, look. For the time of Anthony Johnson, what did it say? Let me see. Right here. And he was Acromat because he was in Acromat County, right? So you already see Anthony Johnson. It's saying was free. Now they saying he was a slave, but my assumption of this shit was he was an apprentice. But from their vantage point, they're gonna call him a slave, right? But then what slave is given a 250-acre plantation where he was masters over both, now I say black and white servants? Now you think, oh, white servants, oh, he didn't own slaves, nigga. The word servant means slave, my nigga. So no matter what synonym that they throw in there, if you go back and look the synonym up, you're gonna see it all equates to being a slave, no matter what type of nice term that they try to throw on it. Okay. So this is in 1635. So niggas owned slaves all the way from 1635, right? All the way until you see Antoine Dibelec, right? all the way until fucking 1860, right? And probably be beyond that. So from 1635 all the way into 1860, you see Negroes owning slaves. Why didn't white people do what they did during Jim Crow to these niggas? Because obviously we had to be running shit, right? We had to be running shit, right? And this is another thing I like to show, right? I like to show Oscar James. Now, of course, they're going to say he was a slave, right? But I happened to find some information that he was an American Indian, right? And if you can even look up the surname Dunn, and it has a very interesting storyline when you go back, because I ran this through a couple of genealogy databases and looked at some of the genealogy that's connected to it. Now remember, all these databases you cannot trust, but a lot of them do have some family members of relevancy. And none of them niggas were slaves, my nigga. None of them were slaves, right? None of them were slaves, right? Now look, the reconstructed Constitution of the state of Louisiana. Okay, now look, this is the distinguished members of the convention of the convention and assembly. This is in 1868. And these are all the niggas who was in charge. Oscar Dunn was what? The lieutenant governor of Louisiana in 1868. He was the lieutenant governor of Louisiana in 1868, nigga. Oh, he was freed, and somebody taught him how to be a politician in 1868, 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, nigga. Why didn't the good old boys go? He's the lieutenant governor. And you see all of these niggas up here. These are all niggas. So I couldn't find who was the actual governor, because I know that they're going to do a remix single and put a white man in, right? So the governor was a white man and a black man was the lieutenant governor, and all of these other prominent so-called Aborigines held prominent political positions in Louisiana in 1868. Make it make sense. Please make it make sense, my nigga. Please. Why did they go lynch him? Why, when you seen what was going on during Jim Crow, somebody please explain this to me. Go in the chat room. Can somebody please explain to me? Please. Because I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and we're going to get back on this clown. Right? Please explain to me why we have a lieutenant governor. Damn, my bad, y'all. Why we have a lieutenant governor in 1868 and he's surrounded by other prominent so-called Negroes, right? Why didn't they go lynch him? Why didn't they pull what they pulled during Jim Crow on these niggas? Why? And even when we get the story of Louisiana, because I just showed you that Antoine Dibelec was in Louisiana and owned the sugar plantation in 1860. So you can't tell me what you see in Jim Crow. We can make an explanation to why didn't it happen from the time that Anthony Johnson in 1635 all the way to 1860 and probably beyond then, right? Why didn't they do a Jim Crow then? So why didn't they do a Jim Crow for the last 230 something years? Can somebody please explain it to me? Please. Please, somebody in the chat room, please explain it to me, because obviously I got it wrong. I'm begging y'all. Somebody please make sense of this shit. Please. Can somebody please make sense of, come on, somebody say something. Say something. Why wasn't they doing what they was doing to Jim Crow from 1635 all the way to 1860? Yeah, Sharice. They're gonna explain some shit that we ain't gonna believe. I want one of my brothers and sisters, I want an Aborigine or Indian to give me an explanation. Why didn't they do? Because this guy right here, right? Look, this is what this guy said. Because he's confused. And see, this is what happens with a lot of these guys, right? Now, look, watch how they going on your boy. Watch how they going on. Let me mute up and play some more of this, right?
Is history that you're getting. This is a lot of prison babble that you're getting. This is a lot of stuff that you're getting. All of this stuff. Now, what's interesting is that he'll go in the room and he'll be all like, actually, we were the real slaves and we were or the real slave masters and stuff like that. Ain't none of that stuff true. We have too much documentation about what happened in Spain with the Moors. We have documentation about what happened over here during slavery, who were the slave owners. Now, what's interesting is that he'll go on, and I don't think he's from this lineage, because he'll go on and he'll say this, because this completely flips.
And if you just came and hit that like button, and the guy that he's referring to is the god of Hanukkah. That's who he's referring to as he, saying that I'm not lineage and I'm a fucking a Tanchan, where my family literally came from the soil that we inhabit, my nigga. So you can keep your FBA. I rather had the terminology of Tanchan. Now listen, for the people who need to identify and understand that we're foundational, that every skin folk ain't kinfolk, then I don't have a problem with that, because that's something why I kind of like gravitated towards it, because this has been a needed conversation for a long time, that every skin folk ain't kinfolk, right? Which we've been saying that. I've been saying that. I got videos saying the same thing 7-8 years ago, right? All skin folks ain't kin folks, right? We all understand that, right? So we didn't create the title FBA. We created the title of our original title. You want to say American Aborigine, Tanchan, or Indian, and with any of that, what nation you came from, right? The original nations, because a lot of these names are misconstrued, right? A lot of these names are misconstrued, right? But we went back to the original title, and we showed evidence that in these areas where we inhabited, Negroes always inhabited. Negroes had land. Negroes had buildings. Negroes had towns. Now, but this clown right here would try to convince you otherwise, because he's regurgitating Reconstruction talking points. This is what all these niggas do. They all regurgitate. None of these niggas is researchers. Yeah, you can probably read. You can probably comprehend. And when I say comprehend, only comprehend what literature that you're reading, not comprehend meaning that you're cross-referencing any of this information and you actually researching. You just took these people's word for facts. Oh, here go the book. That's why I don't really get all into, yeah, we got sources to show or solidify certain things. But if you can't show me 3 sources that's going to show me, that's going to conclude or give me the conclusion, not some shit that these people saying. Who is the people saying this stuff? Oh, it's a white man. Okay, all right. This person created that. Just like the whole Crotilda story, right? The whole Crotilda story. Shout out to Chief Holiday, because we was building on this shit for a while, right? The whole Crotilda story, right? Where they found a board. They found one board and had niggas thinking that this came from an actual boat where there were slaves at, my nigga. And niggas actually believed it. Right, AP? Peace to God. Your mic.
Oh, nah, you cooking. You cooking right now, bro. You definitely in this motherfucking barbecuing on me.
The Crotilda, what we was talking about, right?
Okay, yep.
And shout out to other brothers who did further research on it, right? But the Crotilda, right. What's the story of the Crotilda? They found the board in
1858. They found a piece of wood about the size of a toothpick.
And got these niggas believing that was a slave shit, my nigga. And when we first heard it, niggas was laughing at it. When we first heard it. But these niggas, and like I said, I'm not saying, man, listen, the FBA paradigm is good among people who don't know about the American Indian or American Aborigine or the Tanchan paradigm, right? This is just something to get you prepared for this information that we're talking about, right? The FBA shit, right? But these niggas, they want to stay as slaves, my nigga. The same thing as Pan Africans. These niggas is questioning what happened during Jim Crow and all this, that, a third. What happened during Jim Crow was you had a bunch of people who've been enslaved, right? Who didn't have no land, who was running up in your territories and doing all this horrific shit to you.
And listen, if we break, I don't know if you want to go into the Clotilda story, but it's some insufficiencies with that whole story. You feel what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. You feel what I'm saying? The story is a secondhand story that comes from somebody else that somebody up under W.E.D. Du Bois, Melville Herkovich put together. And I know the chat in here is hyped to see you in here going live because I'm hyped too. So if y'all just as hyped as I am, drop a fire emoji to see Big Bro A1 back on the screen again, man. We love this shit. Yay.
Bro, so let's go back to this dude right here, right? So we're gonna go back to
somebody said the Timu version of Tyreek.
Yeah, the Timo version of Tyree, this nigga. And like I said, look, he be going in on tethers, I'll be right along with that. But the question, because a person is saying otherwise, see, this is the thing that I got with people, right? If you hear information that doesn't add up to what you're saying, don't never write a motherfucker off as what he's saying is not true. Just do the research. You understand what I'm saying? Don't never write, because I'm not making none of this stuff up. Actually, this stuff is coming from hidden information that we had to compile. We had to compile all of the evidence dealing with us being American Indians, and all of the individuals who are claiming this shit are all riding off of information that AP, myself, Chief Holiday, and say Dane Calloway, and others. You understand what I'm saying? This is all information that we had to go back and do research. None of this stuff is mainstream. Nobody has a direct manual to where you can find this stuff out. We had to go back and do investigated research to find this information out. This is information. This is hard. This is long hours reading through sources, learning from other people.
Like you said, this is expert level research. And a lot of these guys haven't took their time out to research. So the stuff that we telling them is probably about 5 to 10 years ahead of the educational book systems. So what we're telling them, they not going to get this shit to 5 years down the line like a lot of people just now getting the shit we put out 5 years ago down the line. You see what I'm saying? So it always comes back to a I told you moment. You see what I'm saying? But by the time they realize that we on to something else, we breaking down new barriers and decoding new information. So some of these people just behind and they just don't see it and they too ego driven. You know, this guy Afro Too Sweet, he'll eventually realize.
Well, he cooking me. Listen to what he said.
Yeah, let him finish cooking you right quick though.
It's the situation, because if we were the slave owners, how are we supposed to get reparations? If we were the slave owners and they just tricked in Spain with the Moors, we have documentation about what happened over here during slavery, who were the slave owners. Now, what's interesting is that he'll go on, and I don't think he's from this lineage, because he'll go on and he'll say this, because this completely flips the situation, because if we were the slave owners, how are we supposed to get reparations? If documentation on White Klux Klan were because if we were the slave owners, how are we supposed to get reparations? Because if we were the slave owners, how are we supposed to get reparations? Because if we were the slave owners, how are we supposed to get reparations?
Pause that right there.
Because if we were the slave owners,
because we gotta stop this whole reparations. Let me just make this clear. We are due reparations and we're also due restitutions, but we're not due reparations because of a slave narrative. Okay, that got to be threw away. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, reparations is not going to come to us by the way of slave. And I'm not saying that we're not going to get it, because only a tether will say we're not going to get it. I'm saying that we're not going to get it based off of slavery. Because everybody, according to us in the chat, and a lot of people that did a genealogy and their research have come to the conclusions that the majority of their ancestors at the height of slavery, you know what I'm saying, were never slaves. You see what I'm saying? That contradicts the whole slavery narrative. You see what I mean? So people like that got to stop pushing this slavery-based reparations. You see what I'm saying?
You heard what
And
he
if
said.
niggas feel like we're not going to get it, then don't say nothing. You saying we're not going to get it, it's just like a stride effort to tear somebody. If you feel like we're not going to get it, you ain't even got to say nothing. You ain't even got to go ask for it. So when everybody else go get it, you just say that, nigga, I didn't want it. You feel what I'm saying? We'll take
Bro, you hear what he said though? Like the way he said, because if we was the slave owners, how are we ever gonna get reparations? So this shit is a gimmick to these niggas.
He don't know that black people were slave owners.
No, he don't know. And I was on.
He's still a kid.
Nigga, I was on there explaining. Look. If you want to go back and check the video out. I came on
send me the full video to my phone, and I'm gonna do a reaction to it too as well.
I came on like the 41-minute mark.
Hey, you my big brother. You my big brother, right? Like you my big bro. Like you got me by some years. You done helped me with wisdom throughout this journey, right? This guy is my little brother, right? He's a kid,
bro. He's a kid.
He's a kid, man. So you know, well, I mean, what do we expect?
I'm not trying to go, but this nigga was cooking me. This nigga talking about I'm a tether, like, and I'm a tauntaun. Like,
won't nothing piss off a nigga from America more than calling him a tether. I know that would have pissed me off. God damn,
this nigga, you hear what he said. So let me play some more because this shit is hilarious. And niggas was coming on cooking me. I'm gonna play some more of this shit. This shit is funny.
How are we supposed to get reparations if we were the slave owners and they just tricked us into the Ku Klux Klan ran a great protection racket? Okay, even though the Ku Klux Klan clearly has their documentation on white supremacy, all of this stuff is documented. If he's going to say this stuff and he's going to confuse a lot of people, so you got to be very careful with stuff like that. You got to be very careful with agents like that. Anybody who comes up the first time, he was all like, you know what? I don't like to be FBA. I don't like to be identified as FBA. Watch out for a lot of the people who are going to start coming up who don't like the term black. To be honest, at this point in time, in 2025, anybody who doesn't like the term.
Hold on. Calling my nigga A1 a tether and an agent? Bro. You was diabolical, sir. Afro's too sweet. What do you think? You don't know this the God. See, he's a kid, man. I can't even fuck this nigga.
My nigga, kid, this shit got up under my skin.
I know it did. I could tell it did. It would have got up under mine too. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I would have crashed that.
Bro, this nigga got up under my skin. Hey, block Chris Harris, man, if he trolling me, man. I'm gonna give you a wrench in a minute, bro. But yeah, this nigga right here, my nigga, called me an agent, my nigga, an agent. And listen to what he just said. Who's the real agent? If we was the slave owners, then how are we ever gonna get reparations? So this nigga meant to, and see, like I said, man, the title of being a slave, my nigga.
They want a slave stimulus package. That's what it is. They want that slave stimulus. Shout out to Fire. That's what they want.
I wonder if they're gonna get a signed book. I wonder if they're gonna get the 12 years of slavery signed by whoever give them reparations. They're gonna get it autographed and shit. Like, yo, sign my book. Oh, that's part of the reparation plan, nigga. You gotta get this. They're gonna give you 12 years of slavery. Look, they're gonna give you 12 years of slavery, right?
Man, look, these people. This guy don't know what he's talking about. And I'm glad you. And like I said, I know you. I know this probably really irritated the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying? Because he on here lying. He have a big platform. He on here just flat out lying with his zesty ass. I've always said that he a little zesty.
My nigga, this nigga.
But I don't think it's that. I just think he a young kid, man. I just think he a kid, man.
I mean, he probably is, but at the end of the day, listen, he probably is. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, my nigga, he got to step his game up, my nigga. And it's when somebody teaches you, see, like I said, until Tariq Nasheed say a lot of this stuff, these niggas ain't never gonna believe none of the stuff we talking about, bro.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's why I didn't even know. Well, I ain't gonna lie, and like I said, he don't. This guy right here, I can't say he speaks for FBA, but he do talk about FBA a lot. Cause I listen to other people like it's another nigga I listen to, not him. I really never listen to his videos, but it's another guy, Black something. I forget his name. Damn, I can't even think it. Black Alpha, right?
Yeah, that's my man. That's my man.
Black Alpha go in on the Aboriginal shit, but he still claims to be FBA. So I understand that not everybody have this weak and lost perspective. You see what I'm saying? And this guy just way out of his league when it comes to understanding history from a real Aboriginal foundational perspective. He's still looking at it through the European lens. He still think he was beat, brutally whipped, and none of his people had success in the 1860s and the 1850s.
This nigga called me an agent, Money Grip. He called me an agent, called me a
that offended me. That just now offended me when he said it.
Oh, we ain't done yet. We ain't done. We just getting into it. Hold up. Watch how other niggas come up there cooking me. Watch this.
Black. I'm gonna be honest. To me, this is me needs to be. I'm not taking anything you have to say that serious. I'm gonna be very honest. I know that might seem like Afro. What if you don't like to be called black? If you feel like no, black is dead and we need to, I don't have time for that, because that means you're gonna go down this rabbit hole of conspiracies that you developed when you were in solitary confinement in prison. I don't got time for that. I don't got time for I was talking to myself in the mirror and I came up with a great idea. I don't have time for that. I really don't, and nor do we, because now you're going to try to convince us and try to miseducate. No, man, no. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm not saying that you can't claim to be Aboriginal or anything like that. I believe that there were black people who were already here before Columbus and all that stuff. I've shown documentation on that. But as of right now, we're a lineage. The lineages of black people. If you don't like the word black, if you say no, we're not black, with all right, okay, you need to be someplace else then, because 9 times out of 10 you're trying to go down a path that we're not trying to go down. Honestly. All right, caller from area code 267. You're on live. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, Afro? This is Curtis.
Curtis, brother, what's on your mind, brother? How you doing?
All right, man. Great show as usual, man. you know, I just, man, that guy is crazy, man. He's talking about the black people old slaves in America. What are we coming to, man? You know, wow,
pause it
man.
right there, man.
Yeah,
I
really got too much to say, man. Like I said, man,
these people be saying this with so much authority,
brother. You understand? We're so happy over here in Philadelphia, man. You know, you got me as a fan, brother. You understand?
These people be acting like this, like nobody else in history can be the slave, and nobody else can be the slave master except for the narrative that they give you. Is these people dumb?
Bro, hey, look, that's why this is a classic right here because of the reactions of these niggas, my nigga. You heard how he said that shit so naively.
He said like it's just a Snapple fact. Like it's just a fact as the grass being green. You feel what I'm saying? He's telling the bold-faced ass lie.
Yo, I told you these niggas, right? Listen, my nigga. Yeah, I fuck with Red Supreme. I done been on Red Supreme joint a couple of times. That's my man. I fuck with Red Supreme. He ain't Red Supreme.
Yeah, I do see
he ain't question none of this shit I was talking about. This shit that this nigga did, Red Supreme let me run. Let me go in there. I had at least about maybe a 45-minute segment where I was going in. 45 minutes. And he always like, yo, A1, come back up here and whenever you got time or whatever, man. I fuck with Red Supreme, it's my nigga. But this nigga right here, and even Afro Elite, I fuck with Afro Elite too. Even though Afro Elite still learning, but Afro Elite wouldn't have did what this nigga did. And this nigga, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at him like a little kid, and I'm saying, like, bro, don't ever write somebody off as if they crazy or they don't know what they talking about until you actually do the fucking research. Now this nigga come up here, look, let me play it again, what he said. Because this sound naive.
Columbus and all that stuff. I've shown documentation on that. But as of right now, we're a lineage. the lineages of black people. If you don't like the word black, if you say no, we're not black with, all right, okay, you need to be someplace else then.
And really, to be real, your lineage is supposed to be whatever so-called nation. See, the fact that, and I'm not saying, listen, brother, we know black people got a history, right? I'm not saying it to denote the terminology and saying like, yeah, black mean dead and low. I'm not even going down that path right now, right? But your lineage, you will learn it when you do your genealogy. See, this guy haven't done his genealogy. He let white people do his genealogy, do stories of roots. Half of these niggas don't even know nothing about no genealogy. They don't know where they came from. They don't know their existence. They don't know where they from. All they know is what white people told them. Yeah, you got off the slave boat and your surname. And I'm gonna get into another bill with Dr. Marie Charles, right? They got the foundational Britain Americans, right? And she kind of breaks down some of the surnames, but I'm gonna kind of go into the surnames too on how they connected, because that means that we had lineage. People from Britain had lineage in America, because every so-called Britain got same surnames that we got. You understand what I'm saying? They all, and she got a whole probably like 12-part series of this, breaking down the definitions of the surnames and everything. And I think she do some good research on that, man. But I'm gonna get into that another time though. But let's get back into this clown right here.
Because 9 times out of 10, you're trying to go down a path that we're not trying to go down. Honestly. All right. Caller from area code 267. You're on live. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, Afro? This is Curtis.
Curtis, brother, what's on your mind, brother? How you doing?
All right, man. Great show as usual, man. I just, man, that guy is crazy, man. He's talking about the black people, old slaves in America. What are we coming to, man? Wow, man. Yeah, I really got too much to say, man. Like I said, man, just keep up, the good work on, brother. You understand? We're so happy over here in Philadelphia, man. You got me as a fan, brother. You understand? And I just want you, speak the truth to power, man. That's all, man. That's all you have to do, man. Speak truth to power, young brother. And I'm praying for you, okay?
Yes, and thank you, brother. Thank you for your support, brother. Yes, indeed.
Okay, you have a good day, okay?
You too.
All right, bye.
All right, bye. Another thing that they do is that you'll have agents like him, the caller who just called in. You'll have agents like him.
Damn, my dude, you with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton now?
Yeah, man. He said, yeah, you'll have agents like him. Nigga, I done freed more motherfuckers than Harriet Tubman. Nigga.
Yeah, he don't know who you is. See, I don't like when niggas just call niggas agents. You ain't did no research, my nigga. You ain't gonna call my nigga agent no agent, though.
We done freed more people than Harriet fucking Tubman, my nigga. I got millions of views. Millions of views.
Say it again, bro. I think that's a real quote right there, bro.
Millions. I done freed more people than Harriet Tubman,
my nigga said he freed more niggas than Harriet Tubman, my nigga.
You understand?
That's a quotable.
I mean, they have according to
that hand for FBA because he's still my brother. This is disgusting behavior from Zesty.
Yeah, this is some diabolical. This is diabolical, nigga. We have freed more people than how many Harriet Tubman free? By 80? Nigga, listen. We have freed millions. Matter of fact, we done freed Tariq Nasheed.
Nigga, yeah. Nigga, some of the people that come on his channel, I know we freed. I seen them in my channel before.
Yeah, hey, Sharice, yeah, you just came in. Yeah, yeah, I was on the nigga channel. And I give y'all, look. Hold up. I'll go back. Let me see where we at.
We at an hour and 8 minutes right now, so we know where we at now. You can go. I got it clocked in my mind. Hour and 8 minutes.
Miss Nisi?
I'm doing fine. Up a lot of nasty for
have a good one. Yeah, let's be honest. It's going to be a lot of trickery because,
working brothers and shit like.
Just mind our business. All right.
Found in the Yucatan,
Now, I don't identify as an FBA because I'm what you call a true American. I'm an Atanchan. I'm an American Aborigine. My people was Yamasee, right? Aniyawiya and Creek, okay? And these was Negroes who was already in America. So like even with the addressment of what FBA. Now I heard you talk about Louisiana, right? But there's other human remains that was found here. You got Naya that was found in the Yucatan. Now the Yucatan was part of Florida, right? It was part of Florida. When you look at all of these tribes, all the way from the Micmac, all the way down to the Gullah Coast, which is the Gullah, which is the Timacoans and the Yamasees and the Seminole, all of them are the same tribes. And these are all Negroes who've been in America. They ain't come here on no slave ship. These people was already here. We was already here, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And even the word slave come from the word Slav. You understand what I'm saying? So when you get into even the terminology, see, we just raise our hand because that's what the Europeans taught us that we would say. But the Europeans were slaves. Okay? They were slaves. When you look at who ran Europe in the 1500s, Moors ran Europe in the 1500s, black people. Wasn't no white people running Europe in the 1400s. You understand what I'm saying? So the war was between, you want to call us black, Negro, colored, that was already in America against the Negroes or Moors that was in Europe.
Okay.
The wars was between us. So even the 13 colonies was ran by 5 black kings. Now, these 13 colonies had to get permission from the Mama Namatop. That means chiefs of chiefs. They didn't just come here like these stories where they tell you, oh, yeah, everybody just came, so that's BS. You could not come across that Atlantic Ocean like that, my brother, because we had ships. We are the original Marines. When they tell you...
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead. Yeah,
go ahead. Now, as far as being foundational Black American, I'm not going to sit up there and make you something that you don't want to be, but let's be honest. When I say it, I'm talking about a lineage of people who are here, who are foundational to America. Now, if you were black and you are already here, or Negro, whatever you want to call it, and already here, you would still be a foundational Black American.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
so you know, it's not all about the slave trade, but just the. But my question is this. My question is this, though.
No, what?
You are acknowledging that slavery happened, that there was a chattel slavery in this country, right?
Not to us. It ain't happened.
Okay.
White 300,000.
Hold on. Let me. Okay. So you're saying that didn't happen?
No, it didn't happen. Not the story that they told. That story came at the Reconstruction.
Okay. So there was okay. So there was no slavery here.
The slavery were white people.
The slaves were white people
that was brought here by yes. The word look up. See, nobody ever looked up the word slave. Nobody never looked at the definition. We just agreed and acquiesced to what Europeans told us. Europeans were slaves. More than 300,000 Europeans was brought here into the 13 colonies. Now, even if you look at slaveboys.org, right, they tell you it was 200,000 Africans brought to North America, which every year that number gets shorter and shorter. Now, when you go on slaveboys.org, the number is 48,000, bro. The whole Gory Allen thing is a lie. When they tell you that they brought 21 million so-called Africans.
Okay, let me ask you this question then. Let me ask you this question because we all acknowledge that slavery, and I just want to make sure we get to this because, you know, to respect the time of other people's callers, but just so we can clear things up, who, if you're saying Europeans were enslaved, who were the slave masters in this country?
Us. And I'm not saying every black person, right? I'm not saying every black person owned slave, but the majority of the black slave owners was black people, bro. I got a whole book. And
so
I got a whole book.
Okay,
Go
hold
ahead,
on.
go ahead, go ahead.
So
let me
you're
just
saying
give you the
that
source. Let me just give you the
Negroes,
source.
you're saying that Negroes
Yes.
owned European slaves in this
Yes.
country.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
And
okay,
that, listen, so
brother,
let me just
okay.
go ahead, go ahead,
Because the thing is that now it seems as if now we're doing too much and we're getting to, oh, well, do you know where the word slave comes from? So apparently the story of like Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, none of that stuff ever happened, right?
Nat Turner was paid by like you, all right, the nicer KK, a nicer Golden Circle and the KKK, right? They pay.
So
See, he don't know nothing about this Albert Pike. He don't know nothing about this Albert Pike, Judah Benjamin, Connect. He don't know nothing. You're way over his head. Sometimes, A1, we got to keep it basic with you. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, I wanted to just flood him with information so he could do his fucking research. So he can go back. See, what I do is, when I first got into a lot of this shit before niggas was showing sources, I used to slow the video down, stop it, write down what a person's saying, and look it up for myself. That's what I used to do when I first got into it.
Look, this is the face of a young kid that just heard that Santa Claus doesn't exist for the first time.
Exactly. So, like I said, so let's go back. So niggas calling me agents, calling because look, the other caller came. It's another
108. You can go to 108.
All right.
Just like him, who are trying to make us seem like a bunch of delusional conspiracy theorists. We got to be careful of that. Okay. When they come up with all, it's not even what he's saying is so divorced from reality. It's so delusional, yet he'll say something and then you'll have Tethers be all like, you see, that's what the FBAs think. The FBAs think that slavery didn't exist. The FBAs think that that they were the slave masters. A lot. That's why I suspect that person of being an agent, because a lot of that is to make the whole movement look like we're a bunch of conspiracy theorists who have no touch to reality, who have no proof of anything like that. Okay. Let's be honest. So we got to be very careful with that, because
hold on,
it will be folks like him.
Pause this, bro. Cause what you did, bro, you did too much, bro. This is a fresh nigga. You about to give him some dope information. You got to give him a little sample first. You just can't hit him with the whole, you know what I mean, shabam. He don't even know if he gonna be able to take this type of dope information. You see what I'm saying? He
You
might
gotta
OD.
hit the FBAs though with the slave man. Listen, that black slave owner. Listen, that black slave owner and white slaves fucked me up, nigga. That shit right there. Once I
first started looking at that 2A1, that's what really changed the game on my perspective. That's what really changed the game. Like, hold on. Oh, yeah.
Bro, that was
you know that everybody up. Yeah, once you know the niggas own in America to the point where they even had to pass laws, like it's on a record book. I don't know what dude talking about.
Bro, I'm telling you, that's what I'm trying to say, my nigga. And see, they will go back and try to switch, do the wishy-washy shit, right? And say, oh, they own mulatto. I'm trying to tell you, my nigga, from what I'm seeing with the whole white slavery shit, my nigga. I'm saying I don't know what they did with the men, right? I don't know what they did with the men, but I do know a lot of Europeans, right, that you think are Europeans are descendants of mixture between an Aboriginal man and a white woman. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't know what happened to the men, but I know that's why they created the anti-miscegenation law. They created that because white women wasn't even sleeping. Even after 1865, white women still wasn't sleeping all the way until you get to the Mann Act. And people don't understand it. This is why they created these laws. This is why even when you hear when they be like when they oppress white men, oppress white women for years, and they will always tell you, oh, white women didn't have rights because they was punishing them for sleeping with us. They was punishing them because they didn't want to sleep with white men. They only wanted to sleep with niggas. So they was making all these laws up. They was locking women up, killing women. They was doing all this shit, and then they ended up making all these stories of the reason why they ran into these towns. Every town slaughter you hear was a black man looked at a white woman. What, nigga? Are you serious, nigga? We ran them. Like trying to make it seem like, oh, black men had an obsession with white women. No, white women had an obsession with black men because that's all they knew. Now I know that sound crazy.
That was their way out of captivity, just like it is now.
Bro.
But that's a whole different bill. We ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Another bill.
But this nigga right here, let's get back into it because this shit is funny, man. You're gonna get it.
Yeah, let's get back to Afro Too Sweet. Let's go.
Who try to make what we're saying seem delusional and crazy and conspiratorial. All right, and it's not true. Everything we're saying is backed up with history, with science, even with documentation. We're very thorough. Let's get to caller from I was about to say episode. Caller from area code 303. Caller from area code 303. 313. My bad. 313. 313.
Okay, that's me.
Yeah.
So y'all, this is FBA Portis over here in Detroit. Yeah, I just want to piggyback off what you said, man. We got to know how to mind our business, man. Let the federal government come in Chicago, get rid of the people they supposed to be getting rid of. I also want to hit on how proud I am of black women and black people in general with this boycott, and how we going into September with this new boycott on the beauty shops. You know, to be buying black still all September. The black women with the black hair. You know, we just showing them how we do it, man. These 30 days is about to prove to the FBA family, lineage, however you want to describe it in this moment, how important black bills are and how important that black dollar circulating within our community is. Let's do it, y'all. We standing.
This nigga ain't talking about shit. But listen, hey, give your boy Kanan Lynn Moore a wrench in the chat. He ain't got no wrench no more. Kanan Lynn Moore's. I ain't seen his ass in a minute. Hope all is well, bro.
Peace to God, man.
Sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, like I said, bro, at the end of the day, right? A lot of these niggas, man. And like I said, when it comes to the boycott and it comes to that, I'm with that. You know what I'm saying? Whether people acknowledge that they're American Aborigines, you know, Tauntauns or whatever terminology that connects you back to this land, right? Right. But at the end of the day, it's more than that. That is just you just scratching the surface with that. You understand what I'm saying? You scratching the surface with that. These niggas want reparations. They want to stay in a slavery mindset. And like I said, I want mine too. But I don't want it for the reasons that these niggas is running out there. And that's the reason why they never gonna give it to you.
Yeah, you can't get it for no slave because you was never a slave. Now, if you put it in for other shit, you know, crimes against you, paper genocide, misclassification, you know what I'm saying? Redlining, Jim Crow. You know what I mean? We can go through the list of things that was done to us. You feel what I'm saying? Stolen land, we go on to tomorrow. You feel what I'm saying? But it shouldn't be slave-based.
That's why I tell people to put together some type of documentary with your ancestors, with your genealogy on it. And you want to record it. You want to get it notarized. You want to get it out still. Because at least at this point in time, this is documentation that you're an American idiot.
Right. They're going to end up, eventually it's going to get archived. You see what I'm saying?
So with this right here, you could push the envelope saying that You're old for damage that was done to you. You understand what I'm saying? You're old for damage that was done to you. And you can push like reparations is not going to be given to people as a group of people like that. It's going to be given to individuals who make a certain claim. You understand? That's what it's going to be given to. It's never going to be given to these Negro, black, and colored who run around here talking about they were slaves and talking all this other nonsense, my nigga. It's not. You're not going to get it like that. I'm sorry. People may think otherwise, but you're never going to get it like that. You're never going to get it like that, my nigga. That's why they stalling. That's why they doing all of these running around circle tactics on people, telling people, yeah, well, we need more studies. We need to do a more study. But you giving reparations to you giving reparations to people who not even United States citizens, my nigga, and not even say that we are United. We are the Americans. You understand what I'm saying? But you giving reparations and you giving benefits to people, and then when they come to us, oh nah, they ain't got no money for you, no money for you, no money for you. They too busy giving
more money for you,
no money for you, no more money for you. And these niggas running around here, they gonna keep doing studies. They're gonna do another Gavin Newsom. Oh yeah, well we gonna look up reparation when he had a chance to pass the bill so people can start getting cash payments. They never was gonna give it to you, my nigga. They use motherfuckers and think people stupid, and these niggas running around here just as stupid. That look, you see, he's baffled in his psychology, right, or in his subconscious. Everything I just said to him, his grandmother, like, look, you idiot. He was telling you the truth. That's why he's stumbling over his words and calling from the 303 and 31. He can't even get his mind together because his grandmother.
He ODing, bro. You gave him too much of that dope information, bro. He's ODing. You should have just gave him a little hit. You gave him too much.
I wanted him to OD, nigga, so he go to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, grandmother is in his ear. Like I said, your ancestors speak to you, my nigga. Your ancestors speak to you. And his ancestors is speaking to your young dummy. You should have been listening to what he's saying. Now we ain't gonna never be claimed. We ain't gonna never be able to get our land back. That's what his grandmother probably saying. And he's over there tripping over his words because he want to be part of an organization. He want to be, like I said, you got some niggas who will know the truth deep in their heart, man, because a lot of this shit is entwined.
And first of all, let me just say this. We've been pushing this delineation way before fucking FBA movement even existed, my nigga. We've been delineating from Africans before anybody was. And we've been going around saying, listen, we from here, we not African, we ain't come from Africa, we ain't got nothing to do with it. You feel me? So we seen the start and the creation of this ADOS and FBA. So what they got to do is just really do their research, bro, because they really out of the loop. And these niggas are ego driven. He need to be a little open minded. He too young to be so closed minded like that. He got plenty of years to do research. He's still a new guy.
He's a young punk, man.
Yeah, he's a puppy. He's a puppy, man. He need to be on somebody's pad. He ain't even potty trained yet. Nigga, go sit down on that pad. Afro Too Sweet. You feel what I'm saying? Get your ass on.
And a lot of these other people that come up there, see, these niggas want to be part of an organization, my nigga. We like AP just said, we've been delineating from a lot of these motherfuckers, my nigga. We've been showing people we not Africans. We ain't ever come from no Africa. We've been saying that shit. Man, listen, that's
8 years now, 8-9 years now, 10 years.
That's the moniker of the Aboriginal
movement, right? That's the moniker of the Aboriginal movement. We're not African, nigga. Like been delineating. So we started this delineating movement,
bro. And that's what these niggas is just catching up on speed now, because now they starting to see that a lot of people ain't got their best interest who they thought maybe had their best interest, because we are all so caught up with the, oh yeah, we all came from this particular place and blah 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 blah, And all of these niggas is now catching up to it. Now they want to do boycotts and all this other stuff, man. And which the boycotts is good. You know what I'm saying? If this is how individuals is going to be able to gather and be able to get people to recognize that all skin folks ain't kin folks, right? Then that's all good. But at the end of the day, if you ain't claiming that you are a Tonton, Aborigine, or like I said, as much as I have a problem with the terminology Indian, but Indian is at least a starting point. It may not be a destination, but it's definitely an observation. You understand what I'm saying? Because your destination is going to be who was your people? Where was your people located at? Oh, your people was blah 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 blah. Okay, well, that's going to be the foundation of who you are. These foundational Black Americans, some of them foundation is American Indian, American Aborigine, or whatever terminology you Tonton, or whatever terminology you want to connect yourself even more.
And like I said, eventually niggas gonna grow into that, and he's gonna change this little puny mindset, and he's not gonna think like this 5 years from now. So what I'm saying is these guys are little whippersnappers. You feel what I'm saying? They still shitting green. A1. They're not mature yet when it comes to this information.
He's a young punk, my nigga, and that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these dudes, and like I said, the whole what Tariq Nasheed, he's saying, oh, but the crazy thing is that a lot of these dudes is showing Luzia. They don't know about Naya. They don't know about the Trevor Brixton and Julia, the Virgin Islands. They don't know about a lot of these other human remains that was found here, right? But they know Luzia, okay? That's a good starting point. But if you know Luzia, then why are you still saying your people came here in the 1500s, man? And rebelled against some European colony, nigga? Do you not understand? Even with the Yamasee slave, the Yamasee so-called story, that shit is some convoluted shit. That's convoluted. Because in the 1700s, niggas had land, and niggas wasn't running around running through no woods and all this other goofy shit that these niggas be talking about. So it's like this nigga 15 in the 15s, whatever. Oh, this is when the first ship of so-called Negroes mixed in with the American Indians and all this other shit, and they still going. They at the starting point.
They don't even know if nobody mixed. They going off of a random story about the Spanish ship that hit Florida that end up breaking free, like 12 to 15 slaves broke free, and they think that them niggas went to go live with us. Man, come on, man. If you don't go with these fairy tales, first of all, you can't even verify that them people even came from Africa. First of all, we don't know if they came from the other side of North America or from the islands. Because when you get into the 1619 story, they calling them people Africans, but they coming from the islands.
Well, you got people saying, like, look, his brother said his family had land in Mississippi in the 1700s. And these niggas, they go back to 1700s. They say, oh, yeah, well, some Africans mixed in with some Native Americans, and that's how we got Indian in us. But then double down and say, well, we still came over here on ships and boats, and we still slaves, and don't even understand. Like I said, man, listen. The first thing,
Tyreek don't even say that bullshit. He don't even say he African at all. He just say he got African genetics, because all people come from Africa. He don't even talk about no slave shit. See, these niggas damn near still paying Africans.
Did you see the video I played of the sister that came up there and said that her family owned slaves?
From Tyreek shit?
Yeah, and Tariq try to double down on here. Maybe this will throw you out of you. Let me hold up. Let me play it. Let me go to this one real quick. It's about right here.
Pike County, Mississippi.
I can't hear you. There you go.
I didn't know that I was muted that whole time. So yeah, I just wanted to add to the slavery conversation. When I looked up my family's ancestral lineage through the paperwork that goes back, on my father's side, it goes back to about the 1600s or something like that. But when I went through the paperwork, I then found out that my great-great-grandfather was considered a Negro slave owner in Baltimore, and his slave was a Irish man. Crazy, right? So I went back even further, and he's then listed as mulatto in the census when I think it was like the 1840 census. Then if you go back one more time before that, they're considered Indian, right? So that's my family members look like everybody else too. I know I look a little bit whatever, but like my family members look like everybody else. It was nothing different about them, but they're listed as Indian, then mulatto, then Negro slave owners. You can actually look my grandfather up on Google. His name was James Presco, Presco. It's in on the the free Negro slave owner list or whatever. He's like the third person, whatever, in Baltimore. Okay. But that was just what I wanted to add to it. And then if you look at like the documentation and stuff like that, he bought that white man from Ireland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we want
what year was this? What year was this? Because they had laws at a certain time where black people...
Hold on. Is my phone?
Uh-oh.
Hold on. No, I can go. Let me see if I can get my computer because I can tell you the exact census this was on. Okay. Let me see. My phone might get dark. I'm about to go to my daughter's room and get her tablet.
Okay, because they wouldn't allow at a certain point, they wouldn't allow black people to own white people.
They owned white people, and I believe it was 1860, the free Negro slave owners. Was it 1815 or 1860?
And right, and Tyreek right to a certain extent, only some states didn't allow it. And that's why a lot of people moved into other states.
AP. Stop it, bro. The Tyreek is wrong. Tyreek talking about Dave. Who was Dave? Dave, the people who he's saying was Dave was white teeth people.
Nah, he wrong on that because these niggas.
And he's saying that they wouldn't allow. Why would they ever allow you to own white slaves if they brought you from Africa? Why? The story doesn't make no goddamn sense.
Right.
Why did they ever allow you to own? And then you gotta look and you see, like I said, a lot of this stuff, man. It's like it doesn't make no sense to the point to where some of us are still confused by it, right? But we know that these people are lying. We know that they're lying. We just can't pinpoint the exact lie because a lot of these traps will you'll be reading the same content that you're trying to get away from. And then they will even confuse you even more. See, confusion is the word of the goddamn day because this nigga gonna say, oh, well, we know. Who is we? And where's you getting that information from? Oh, you reading what they was telling you again, which is going to equal back to we were slaves again, right? Why would they let any Negro own a fucking slave, my nigga? And then free you in 1865, but she gets said the Negro slave owners are 1830. So if you got thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who were fucking free, my nigga, and they was owning slaves before 1865, why, if we had a room of 100 Negroes right now, and we asked them, how many of y'all were slaves? Everybody gonna raise their hand. And none of them done their actual genealogy to confirm any of this. They only going by what they heard. So at this point in time, everybody going by what they heard. Everybody thinking that the European documentations and they print the books and they write the books and put the books in your school and then send you to school to program you and you learn this from them and you come home and mommy, look what I learned. I learned we were slaves and I learned, but you ain't never gonna learn about no black slave owners. You ain't never gonna learn about no white people were slaves. Why? Because they don't want you to know this stuff. They want you to know what they want you to know. That's the $1 million question. The $1 million question is why they not telling you this. If you're going to tell a story, tell a whole story. Tell the whole story. Tell the whole story because I don't even believe a lot of these documents, man. Because none of these documents is adding up. Because if white people was in charge, you wouldn't have nobody like I just read, Antoine Dubulet, who was the richest nigga around, and he was richer than even his white neighbors, according to them. I don't even believe he had no white neighbors, but according to him. So why did they tie him up and take his money? Why did they tie him up? Why did they go back? Oh, look at that nigga. That nigga eating good. He over there living good. They wasn't calling him a nigga. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, nah, I don't believe, man. I can't let Tariq Nasheed dictate this shit right here, my nigga. We didn't put too much work in for him to be coming up with these claims and just saying any stupid old thing and we supposed to be agreeing upon it. I seen the documentations. I read the documentations, and I still don't believe them because none of it adds up. None of this shit adds up. None of it adds up. So if it don't add up, right, then 9 times out of 10 the shit ain't real. And he's sitting up here saying, "Yeah, well, we know at this point in time they wouldn't allow us to own no." Well, so you're agreeing that black people own white slaves? First he was saying that black slave owners was coons, right? This is what Tariq Nasheed was saying first. When the first person brought to him that black people own slaves, he's like, "Oh yeah, they was coons. They was coons. The William Ellises and they was all coons. They own what?" Now he admitting that black people own white slaves. And now he's saying, "Oh well, at some point in time they wasn't." So white people, black people was able to own. So some niggas you got from Africa brought them over here on a plantation, and the white people were supposed to be over here free. You gonna allow them to own white people? Make fucking sense, man. But listen to it. Right? Well, watch how he doubled down. He don't even want to continue the conversation with her about the slave owners.
Hold on for 1 second. I'm about to Google it while we're on here. Hold on for 1 second.
Yeah. All right. Someone said Muhammad Ali's daughter. No, she's not. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to see how that worked because, yeah, they had, like in Virginia and places like that, they had strict laws against black people owning white people. They had real strict laws against that. So let's see what's going on with that. I'm going to get some more people in here while we're waiting on that sister. While we're waiting on Miss Queen.
It was 1830, the 1830 free Negro slave owners list. If you type that in on Google, the free Negro slave owners 1830, the whole list will come up.
And that was in Maryland?
It was Maryland and Baltimore.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna look into that. What city you in, by the way?
I live in Baltimore still.
Okay. What you do out there, dear? What do you do out there?
I'm actually an author and I do interior design. So
what kind of books you write?
I write fiction books. I have a book about hoodoo, but mostly fiction, like science fiction books.
Now you see, he didn't want to elaborate on the black slavery thing. He want to start asking her about none of that stuff matters, my nigga. Let's stick to the slave owners that she was talking about. Why are you so interested to change the conversation into, "Oh yeah, well, what do you do out there? What do you do?" Why is that of any interest, my nigga, at this point in time? And you married. So what do that have to do with what she just said? But that sound like some agent shit, right? That sound like some real agent shit. The fact that he didn't want to elaborate on that. You understand what I'm saying? That sound like some real agent shit, though. But let me switch it back to my man, and I'm gonna get out of here around about another 20 minutes, and we're gonna rock it out. So let's play some more of this clown.
Up, man, and I'm over here in Detroit. You need me to drive on down to Chicago. I got you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Be going first, man. I love y'all.
Love you too, brother. Appreciate that. Much respect, brother. We gotta love our family, right? And special salute. Let's be honest. A special salute to the sisters, because the braiding shop thing, that was really their thing, you know. So they really held it down as far as that's concerned. You know, so that was, we got to give them their props. We got to give them their kudos on that. They really held it down. And now we got another one. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more detail tomorrow. But we got another one coming up about just black owned, FBA owned. Let me say that, you know what I'm saying? Because we're trying to keep the dollar circulating. We got an FBA, kind of like a boycott kind of buy-in. So we're boycotting FBA hair care products, and then we're trying to really buy in and take that money and put that money someplace else. See, that was my whole thing when it came to the Target boycott. Now, I'm not a supporter of the DEI thing, but with the Target boycott, what I disagreed with is that they were all like, let's stop shopping at Target because Target's not black owned and they don't support black people.
What the hell was he talking about? But at the first rally for reparations,
to really get it. I like that. Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. So thank you. That's a good idea. That's good. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, brother. All right. Glad you brought that up. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow, but that's the type of energy we need to be on. All right. shout out to him. Shout out to the sisters out there, because y'all really held it down for the month of August as far as the boycott is concerned. So now we're going into another one. So let's just keep the momentum going. Caller from area code 571. You're on live. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yo, what it do, Afro Elite? It's your boy Breeze Omega. I appreciate you so much. You know, when I first met you at the first rally for reparations, I told you was gonna be big. And when you was doing you was doing the security detail for Tariq and them. So I always knew. I was like, shit, my boy gonna be good. And then when I saw you at the second rally for reparations, you killed it when you was on stage. You and Black Alpha. So shout out to y'all brothers. That last caller a little bit ago, that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the hell was he talking about? But you held, I told you, you got the goddamn patience of a saint. So you definitely a sage in this. So we appreciate you, good brother Afro Elite. Like I said, this Breeze Omega. And like I said, I always knew you was going to be at this level when I first met you. So it's a good thing. And I appreciate you out here. And I'm going to land my plane right there, my good brother. Peace to everybody in the chat. Love y'all. Support the FBA family. Make sure y'all donate to the Hidden History Museum. And you know what it is?
On my phone than it is on my television. And I notice that they do this to a lot of other people that I have to adjust the volume to where it's just really low. And then when it's them folks and it's one of their broadcasts, it comes in nice and crisp. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Man, fuck this nigga, man. I'm done with him. But definitely, man, like I said, man, stay away from these niggas who promote to us that we slaves, my nigga, at the end of the goddamn day. And these niggas who can't be taught, who think they know everything and regurgitate everything that we already know, that common or the consensus dealing with history, we already know that they done lied to us on many occasions, on many different documents, on even things that's peer reviewed. They done lied to us. Look how, for example, right? Even when we get into certain things, right? Even with some of the conspiracies, right? Look how they doubling down even with the COVID shit now. Look how they doubling down now. Look how they doubling down now.
Right.
Even with the vaccines that they made people take. So if they can lie about shit like that, you think they wouldn't lie about history and then put it in books and then we read this shit thinking that it's sincere. But who is it coming from? See, that's what I want to know. Who is that source coming from? Don't just give me a source. Yeah, this person said this. He got a source. Who wrote that? Who wrote it? And let's find out who it is. And you're gonna find out more like you're gonna find out 9 times out of 10 it's a European. Hold up for a second.
Somebody said he took Tyreek Harris down. Yeah, funny as hell in the chat. They frying his ass. Hey, when you cooking though, good to see you back doing lives, man.
Yo, bro. I mean, you already know the time, bro. Like I said, look, man, we gotta stick around. I mean, it's enough brothers you out there doing it or whatever. And there's other brothers and sisters that's doing it. So
Yeah, but we need you to get back. I need to take a little breather. Shit.
I mean, I'm back for now. So, like I said, I'm gonna probably gonna do a pay-per-view on this joint. I'm gonna probably finish it up. I'm gonna try to do it for, like I said, either the 22nd or the 29th though. But before I do it, I'm gonna definitely come back and promote it. Like I said, I've been working on this for about 4 months. Just when I have time to really work on it, because like I said, a lot of this research, man, you gotta really lock yourself in and really, you know what I'm saying, get in that mind state to do this research. It just ain't no thing. Some things come to you naturally. Some things you may have had in the archives or, you know, might have on your computer, whatever. But sometimes you got to go back and double check it, and then, you know what I'm saying, and cross-reference it with other information, man. So, you know, it took me some time to put together. I got a couple of joints coming out or whatever that like I said, it took me a while to really put together because the time, like I don't have the time like I used to have to really sit down and just research all day or whatever. But when I do get into it, you know what I'm saying, I try to put something good together for the people. And like I said, man, you know, stay away from a lot of these people, man. A lot of these people who, like, even a brother like that who's still trying to learn. You know what I'm saying? But when you calling people agents, calling people tethers, and you don't know their background, you don't know what they have done out here, you don't even know who they are. But you just assuming that they are that because we're saying that we're not slaves and you want to be a slave so you can get reparations. So make it make sense, man. But I'm about to slide up out of here, man. Thank AP for coming through. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, man, that then came through, man. I don't know. This is starter right here, man. I gotta get my win back, man. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. Just a starter for you guys. Like I said, man, I did a couple bills on AP channel. What I did? When we did a bill? We did a bill last week. We did one the week before. And shout out to Sister Betty. Sister Betty hit me up. Was like, yeah, we was killing it that day. But you already know what it is, man. So shout out to everybody that's out here putting this information, that's teaching people. And you know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure that the majority of us have reached or freed more people than Harriet Tubman. Even if you just got a new channel, you done freed more people than Harriet Tubman at this point in time. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, just take that into perspective that what we doing is definitely rattling cages. A lot of these Pan-Africans, a lot of even FBAs and people who think they are so well educated can definitely realize that the education that was the education that was dictated to them is not correct. And we the holders of the science. We the ones that's holding, passing the torch on to the youth and to the next generation, man. So with that being said, AP, you want to say something before I get out of here? AP probably rolling up. But definitely, man, shout out to everybody that came through. And like I said, man, peace to God, peace to goddesses. With that being said, your brother Hano Kiel, aka A1, aka Thompson, is one, man. And with that, peace.